Juki get the sauce, bitch.
Thank you for the health comments. How's everybody doing today? You live next to Michelle? How's everybody doing today? It's a Friday stream, not something that we normally do. Normally we are popping on Wednesdays and Saturdays, but I'm hoping that we get another vegan online tomorrow, Saturday. We'll see. We also, hopefully, vegan or vegetable police shows up today in the chat and we can score us another interview for tomorrow morning. Vegan Gains called me a pencil. I'm kind of a pencil right now. I am kind of a pencil right now. I mean, I'm lean. I've got a little muscle mass on me, you know, like it's like not pencil like a normal person pencil, like a vegan pencil, but still I'm pretty light right now. I'm actually not even going to blame Vegan Gains for calling me that. I mean, he's a big fat puffy guy, so you know, he can call me a pencil if he wants. He can call me a pencil if he wants. I doubt he can even walk up a flight of stairs without breathing heavily. He's looking pretty thick. He just made a video the other day about how he has body dysmorphia and that people are giving him a bunch of crap and he doesn't know how he actually looks. So there you go, Vegan Gains. You call me a pencil. That's accurate, but you do look swollen and puffy even still. You were kind of like going good for a minute there. You were starting to lose a little bit of fat and then all of a sudden you just put it back on. And then apparently you were able to put on a bunch of mass on your shoulder, on your arms. But congratulations for inciting people to do the fat grip challenge. That's pretty cool. There's no way I could curl 65 pounds at this moment. Congratulations. You are a strong guy. One thing that I try not to do ever, especially on the channel publicly, is criticize people who are stronger than me. I'm not going to go out and give Vegan Gains strength training advice. He's much stronger than me. And by agreeing with him, I take away all of his power. Vegan Gains he got nothing on me. It is the way it is. Remember, I'm the mental manipulator here. Vegan belly gains, baby. Bart K is watching. How you doing, Bart K? How's everybody doing today? We're going to have Michelle Lowe on in approximately 26 minutes, everybody, so just sit tight. As usual, I'll hang out with you for a bit in the morning, and then we'll get to the guest. I have some topics that I'd like to speak to Michelle about. If anybody wants to add anything to the conversation, please let me know before we get involved. Make sure that you tag me so that I actually see what you write to me, and then I can potentially write it down if it's something that seems quality and something that we want to cover. She recently made a video in response to me calling her out for not being a real psychologist. I didn't say that. I said, I need to see some credentials, and she provided those credentials. So it appears that Michelle is a real psychologist. Congratulations to her. Yes, Friday is amazing, by the way. Someone said I'm looking extremely healthy lately. That I wonder what my narcissism just kicked in there. What exactly about it? Because the past couple of weeks haven't been the easiest for me. I definitely developed some lower teeth enamel issues from drinking too much damn diet soda. I paid the piper on that one. Definitely, there's going to be vegans that are stoked that I had to quit drinking Diet Coke. Let's move this over here. Okay, I'm in alignment now with you guys. I'm drinking some peppermint tea, by the way, in my raw alignment colored Yeti mug. Results, guys. Results, basis, approach. We get teeth starting getting messed up. Guess what? We switch it up. Boom. We switch it. We change it. We drink stuff that's not going to mess your teeth up, right? This blows vegans' minds. Using a results-based approach. Something starts to happen where it's not so good for your health. You change it. I'm a little sad too. You're noticing that I have different headphones on today. My other ones broke yesterday, so I have to rock these. It's not as easy to hear myself in the microphone, so hopefully the audio is good today. We'll see. I'm sure it'll be okay. Someone said Michelle is a doctor and very smart. I don't doubt that she's smart, and I don't doubt now that she's a doctor. Huh. Vane, I think I know the answer to that question. I don't think she's going to be... She talked the other day in a video. I've been watching a little bit of her content to kind of like study up and just educate myself on what her message is in general. And she said that there is a species hierarchy in the world. So I think that she does put humans on the top. She just puts animals right there with it. She also claims not to be a nutrition expert. So that's a pretty smart move on her part. Is it her clinical practice to deny the experience of people? Interesting. That's an interesting question. I may have to weave that in somehow, some way. You want to see her vegan credentials? Hey, thank you. Someone said my face looks healthy. That's really nice. Redheaded Princess, straw does not protect the teeth. And I can tell I know you're vegan, but I can tell that's a vegan statement because I believe that too. And it does not help your teeth whatsoever. You will still jack your teeth up if you're drinking acidic, sugary fruit juice and stuff and whatever, liquid all the time. Yeah, Gung Fu, I know that tea will mess your teeth up, but this is a peppermint herbal tea. It's not a green tea. I'm off the caffeine 100%. Someone noticed that I'm more stable, and man, I couldn't agree more. Just like the steadiness of the voice. I rewatched the last stream, and it just seems that things flow out of me a lot easier. I'm really happy with the way that I feel off the caffeine. I don't think that's so much to do with going carnivore, or not going carnivore, but going back to animal foods, but more so leaving the caffeine. Feel very good off the caffeine. Very, very good. It's one of the best decisions I've made recently. Other than leaving the vegan diet. Yeah, thank you. I mean, the only thing that I have going for me is the fact that I have like this kind of unique experience. The whole Hawaii thing. I kept good track of what I did. I had experience lifting in the gym before I went vegan, so I have some comparison. And then the other thing is being real and authentic. That's really the only thing that I can offer. I do my best. I do agree that the meat does make you steady. It definitely... I just feel connected. Like, so this is very weird to explain this, but the brain and the eyes and the mouth, if lately they feel very connected to me. My shoulders are looking very vegan. They do look vegan right now. I actually lost a couple pounds the past couple weeks because I haven't been lifting. When are you going to get gaunt, droopy-faced drugivore on the show, Drew? Gaunt, droopy-faced drugivore. Who's that? The brain and the genitals, how's that connection? That connection's really good. It's really good. I damn near threw my back out last weekend. If that explains anything to you. Other parts of my body will fail before that part fails. Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about now, the droopy face. I got it. I got it. I got it. Salome, the guy who said the shoulder comment is my one and only vegan male disciple. He's a moderator of the channel named named Jason Joseph. He can say that to me. He knows that his vegan ass shoulders are just 90 degrees as a motherfucker, though. Richard Burgess knows a lot about nutrition. I think he's well researched on the biased side of nutrition. And I think that he ignores a lot of the practical results that he's received on the vegan diet. So that's just my opinion. Again, he's achieved strength gains as well as fat gains. And this is what I always say about vegans. I said this in the last stream and I've said it before. Vegans can get stronger on the 100% plant-based diet. However, they usually gain a lot more fat in relation to the amount of muscle that they gain. Unless they're eating like straight up tofu, they're in contest prep. The only couple guys that I've seen pull this off are Veggies for Thought. And maybe you look at the Fantastic Four, Nimai Delgado, Derek Simnett, John Venus, and Brian Turner. They pull it off, but then again, they started out. Mint teas mess with testosterone? Okay, I'm putting this down. That's a wrap. I'm off the tea. There's no free lunch anywhere, is there? You can't have anything. Vegan foot soldiers, the Fantastic Four. I don't know about that. Raven Veganista says your biceps are as big as mine. That's interesting. Want to post them up, Raven? Raven loves to disagree with me in my chats, my comments. She's full vegan brainwashing. You're vegan for the animals. I understand. That means that, you know, the facts, the results, the practical knowledge, the logic, it's gone. You can just put the animals before. It's kind of like religious people. They just put the religion before their thoughts. They're like, oh, that goes against religion. Nope, not even going to go there. That's where you're at. Gung Fu says, Drew, did you see the segment in which Stefan Molyneux puts vegans down by saying a vegan diet will have a negative effect on brain development? I mean, there's a lot of well-researched people that say that veganism has a negative effect on brain development, especially in young kids. I recommend people who have children, young children, go look at the work of Natasha McBride. She talks all about needing cholesterol, needing saturated fat. She says that she can cure autism in young children if she catches it early enough 95% of the time. What she does is she puts these very young children on a high saturated fat, high cholesterol diet, and it snaps them out of their symptoms immediately. I have not eaten anything today, honest AF. I am only drinking this peppermint tea in preparation for Michelle Lowe. I have a few topics for Michelle prepared. Nothing crazy. I've been watching a little bit of her material lately. She watches all of my stuff. I'm sure she's going to have more stuff to bring up than I will. So I'm just going to go into this sort of in the flow, in the moment. Let her bring up whatever she wants to bring up, and then we'll just have a conversation. I don't anticipate changing her mind about anything, of course, but it's just always good to provide honest dialogue. It's good to provide honest dialogue between people and allow the audience to make up their own minds. You know, I don't care if my audience is split straight 50-50 down the middle, whether they're vegan and whether they're consuming animal foods. It's up to you guys to make up your mind about who sounds more sensical, who's getting better results, who seems to be putting the pieces together better. And that's up to you guys. I know. That's it. So Raven is proud that she's going on 14 years of veganism. So what? 14 years of... What does that matter? So you've been experiencing a suboptimal lifestyle for 14 years. Big deal. It's not special. And I'm going to talk about this with Michelle, actually. So I'm going to save that segment for later. Actually, I got to write that down. I need to remember this one. Yep. It's going to be a segment that I'm going to title Smart People Go Vegan. Smart People Go Vegan. Yes, you heard me say that. Smart, compassionate people. JG Lee, shout out to Drew and Honest AF. Great haircut, by the way. Hey, thanks, bro. Thanks for the $2, man. Super chats are welcome around here, guys. By the way, I just got to say that. If you guys do super chat, I will pretty much pause the conversation at any point in time, and I will bring that topic up if I can. Super chats will be heavily respected. I should probably start putting that in the description. When people are chatting with me just regular, honestly, I can't even see it because just to explain to you guys my little setup here, I have 3 monitors. Okay, so the middle monitor is always the guest. That's why you see me talking to people like this. And then over here is the chat, and it's the camera and all the other stuff. And then when I go to YouTube land, when I have to do the triple monitor, that's over here on the left. So it's not easy to see the chat flowing like this when I'm speaking to the guests. The only thing that even sticks out to me a little bit is when people @sign me. And even then, I can't even look over sometimes. Redheaded Princess, if you're here for the entertainment value, that is perfectly valid. I took a test the other day. It was about what kind of business person you are. And one of the questions was, it was a multiple choice question, and it said, what do you prefer to least be perceived as? And one of the answers was boring, and that was my answer. I do not want to be perceived as boring. That's the worst thing you could call me. Please don't call me boring. Good people don't question authority. Drew with the 5 head. I feel like I have a very well-balanced forehead. Vegans do love me, Tribby. You're correct. Vegans love me. There's nothing vegans can say to me. I lived their lifestyle for 4.5 years. I did what they say. They haven't done what I say, though. They haven't eaten the way that I say to eat. So all vegans out there, I have a challenge for you. You can prove me wrong. You can easily prove me wrong. You know how to do that? All you got to do is eat the way that I say to eat for like 5 days, 7 days, maybe a month if you want to be very adventurous, and you can prove me wrong. You can say the diet sucked, and then you can go right back to veganism. You can tell all your vegan friends, hey, I did the research for us. These guys are all liars. We cannot trust what they say, and you'll be a hero. Very simple. You try, and then you observe the results. Very easy. Scrap says this is going to be unproductive. Michelle doesn't care about results. She says she can't tolerate fat and hates meat. Okay. Well, we'll see what she says. How do we respond to Super Chat? We need to do some cool stuff with that. Super Chat is the little paid thing. So I understand not everybody can throw down on the Super Chat. It's all good. I welcome all the viewers, all the likes, all the subscriptions. Absolutely everybody who comments. You're all contributing to this whole thing. Good morning, Charles Marlowe, by the way. And the only thing with the Super Chat is it puts this big banner across the screen. It's very easy to see it mid-conversation. And it stays up there, too. So it just makes me aware of seeing it. Google Scholar. What the heck is Google Scholar? Raven wasn't influenced by anyone. She's not indoctrinated and impressionable like me. 14 years on her own accord. Yeah. That's impressive that you brainwash yourself into thinking that you're doing more for the animals when that's been completely debunked. We talk about grass-fed beef all the time. Even vegans like Plantriotic who are ethical vegans who also read the science. They're interested in the science anyways. They read the biased science on the vegan side. But they're also starting to open up to the science on the other side as well. Even they talk about how standard vegans aren't even as ethical as grass-fed meat eaters. And we got a lot of those. I'd like to see your results, by the way. Please post up pictures, video, anything that you could do to verify, what you look like, your performance, how you feel, because we're all out here actually in front of the camera. Unlike Vegan Foot Soldier. Kudos to him for going shirtless, though. Wow, that's brave. That's really opening yourself up to a lot of criticism. Gable says, the two guys that switch diets, are they back to their normal eating types again? So here's a quick update for everybody who's been following along the vegan carnivore experiment. By the way, those guys are taking their last blood test today, and they're switching their diets back over. I believe today they're going to start eating normal after the blood test. They're both very excited to get back to eating the way that they want to eat. So, dude, big shout out to those guys. 28 days. They did it. And then next week, we're going to come on the show with Dave Feldman, blood panel expert, and we're going to go through the results. Jason says, the month before I went vegan, I ate only lean meats and home-cooked veggies. No change. Well, we don't say to eat lean meats, sucker. That's the wrong thing to do. We say to eat a lot of fat. Either way, I guarantee I could get you results, Jason, quickly if you ate the way that I tell you to eat. I said that to you as a vegan, so I understand why you're not going to trust me now. But, yeah, you'd have to test it yourself. I guess I can't guarantee it. Vegetable Police already did that, Drew, rolling on the floor laughing. What did he already do? Oh, Veggie Police tried meat for a year. Vegetable Police has ulcerative colitis. He apparently healed it on the vegan diet. And he didn't say he's going back to veganism, did he? I mean, people are making all these assumptions. He's going back to veganism. He's not going back to veganism from what I know. Do a live IQ test? I probably wouldn't do that well on an IQ test. Not very mathematically based. I'm good at keeping track of numbers and data points and variables, but as far as like figuring out math, not really my best strong suit. But I understand the mind. That's why it'll be fun to talk to Michelle. Tofu Tommy. Shout out to Tofu Tommy. Morning to you all, and Drew. Good evening from Scotland. Thank you, sir. Yeah, so here's the interesting thing, all you guys. All you guys talking about Vegetable Police. So he did carnivore in Thailand. He cleared up all of his digestive symptoms. He felt very good. He started making gains, right? We're all in agreement here. He did that for 6 or 9 months. Then he gets back to Canada. It's cold as hell. He's hanging out with his girlfriend again. He starts to get fat, and then he starts to convince everybody that it's better to be fat. He feels great. His hormones are great. There's no need to be super six-pack skinny in the mirror. This was 2-3 months ago. And I was making jokes the whole time saying, Vegetable Police, you're convincing yourself that it's okay to get fat. And then now here we are. So he starts eating a bunch of crap. He thinks that he can do whatever he wants. And then he gets sick again. That's neither the vegan diet's fault or the carnivore diet's fault. That's straight up, dude. That's straight up. VP says he's back on plant-based for now. He's not vegan. I don't know about that. We'll see how that goes. He's already lost a bunch of weight. You can see it in his face, his neck, his arms. He already looks way skinnier and way smaller. He's lost all his gains already in 2 weeks. I'm sure you're happy. All the vegans are so happy that Vegetable Police got his ulcerative colitis symptoms back. They're so sick in the head. Yes, he's bleeding from his ass again. Yes, we were right. High five. Do you ever think there will be a world where vegans and carnivores can live in harmony? Absolutely. We live in that world right now. We live in that world on my channel as well. He's been vegan a month again. And by the way, I like how you guys all omit the part in the you guys all omit the part where he talks about drinking juice and how tired it makes him. He's like, I drink the juice and I just fall asleep afterwards. Allergic to dairy, then eats dairy. I mean, come on. Come on, guys. Let's blame the vegan. Let's blame the animal foods diet here. I started looking into Charlene and Joe Anderson, by the way. They're a very interesting story. They've been consuming basically beef, salt, and water for a long time. Charlene Anderson had crazy chronic autoimmune disorders similar to Michelle Peterson. And she's 20 years deep on eating beef, and she feels amazing. She looks amazing, too. You guys should go look into them. Joe Anderson is like 60 years old, still in shape, looks very good. I mean, you compare that to a lot of the other 60-year-old vegans out there, they're not holding up so well. Hey, thank you for the compliments, Dr. Michael McCrackpot Farty Brown. Appreciate that. Okay, I have no idea how to get a hold of Michelle Lowe. If anybody knows her Instagram or her YouTube, I don't know. I'm going to have to, she's going to have to email me. Or if Michelle, if you're in the chat, you've got to give me your email address so that I can get you in here. Oh, she is in the chat. Michelle, make sure that you send me your email address. We're going to get this set up shortly here. Thank you all for being with us today on this lovely Friday. I hope some of you are at work and you're getting paid to watch this. That's the best. You see, my podcast, my live streams are kind of inspired by old talk radio. I used to listen to a lot of talk radio growing up. So this like 3-hour segment, just go interview guests, talk. This is something that I really enjoy doing. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, I'm going to send you the link in just a second here, Michelle. I have it all prepared, ready to go. Charlene and Joe Anderson eat untrimmed ribeyes, 80% fat every day. Yep, and they look amazing, don't they? And they have good results. And she cured all kinds of crazy symptoms with that. Now, I'm not saying it's going to work the same for everybody, but it is amazing that it works like that for somebody. And I don't see vegans getting the same results. You notice all the vegans' triglycerides are going up. And you notice, by the way, guys, before we get Michelle on, go watch Vegetable Police's video about his triglyceride HDL. His triglyceride to HDL ratio is like 0.28. It's rock bottom, super low. Even he's like, damn, that's pretty good. Can't argue with that. The carnivores were right about that. Carnival, welcome. What's going on, everybody? Thank you, Charles Marlowe. Dude, why did you delete the 40K channel, bro? I'm a little upset about it. We got to talk about this. Hopefully next time you guys see me, I'm going to have a nice, big, dope set of headphones because this is different. I don't like this. This is weird. I can't hear myself. Not the same. Feels like I'm blind, like driving with blinders on or something. All the talking heads in the room. That's right. This is where we congregate. Everybody gets involved here. I want everybody to be here. I want all the talking heads in here from both sides. Let's figure it out. Earthling Ed. Your piece on Earthling Ed, aka the Vegan Jesus, aka the Vegan King, was masterful, Carnival. 24 years old. I think that would surprise a lot of people. All right, we're sending the Hangouts link. I just sent the Hangouts link. Michelle, if you can hear that. I am a vegan. You are a loser. I am not a friend of Rich Roll. I don't know him personally. I think we could be homies. Thanks, Kevin. Oh, Kevin. Kevin. I know you like my hair, Kevin. This hair is not going anywhere. Vegan or not, man. I can't even cleanse this hair. This shit's stable. Is Ritual transitioning into end-stage veganism or carnivorism? Ooh, we got Tristan and Jacko later? Is that today? I didn't even know that. Oh, also, by the way, guys, Chris Kruger is having a premiere. I'm going to link it at the end of my stream. He's talking about it's a response video to Mike the Vegan, his blood test specifically, because Mike was kind of dodging and diving on the blood tests when Chris was kind of hammering him on the triglycerides and stuff like that. So it's going to be a good video. He's doing a premiere with it live at in 2 hours, but we're going to still be streaming, so don't be leaving my stream. Just kidding. We slay vegans around here. We're vegan assassins here. Why do I call myself the vegan assassin? It's because I have the magic code, man. I say the words that make people question their own results. They're like, oh shit, you know what? That's true. This guy's true. He's telling the truth. What's up, Baza? Yawn it up, baby. We're full of energy around here. No caffeine. Haven't eaten anything today. Your blood sugar's probably dipping. Blood sugar is dipping, boy. Go get your dates in. A little cranky. Get your date smoothie in. I don't have anything against vegans. I have something against vegans that are not willing to admit certain things. Rule number 1. Vegans need to admit that vegan diet does not work for 100% of individuals. That's step 1. Michelle, I sent you the link to your email. You click the link, and then you will show up in this thing, and then I handle the rest. John Rose banned you 3 years ago. Dude, okay, what's the deal with John Rose's channel? John Rose, his subs have blown up in the past month. He's gained 17,000 subs. I checked it out yesterday. What's the deal with that? His view count is the same. He's still putting out the same type of content, and then all of a sudden, boom, he just blew up. He's at like 78,000 subs now or something like that. What is going on there? Hey, Drew, where's your girl? My girl's in San Diego, man. Yeah, the algorithm just shined its light on John Rose. You just keep putting in the work, and you could basically put out whatever you want. And if you just keep hammering away, YouTube will eventually bless your life. You just got to hope for that call to the big leagues, man. That's the way it works. Raven Veganista says, it's because you talk to mentally unstable, impressionable people. You only need to check your clan, man. What are you talking about? You need to write in complete English here. The people I speak to are smart. They're compassionate. They go by results. You say you're vegan for 14 years. You need to show us your results. You better have ace blood tests. You better still be able to perform athletics performance in the gym. You better still be able to heal from injuries. I saw that, Gable. His view count is not going up, but the subs are flying up. I don't know what that is. Yeah, vegans target young people, but young people aren't impressionable. Exactly. It's why most vegans are women, and most vegans are young women. The most impressionable, easily brainwashed people on the planet. Big facts. I hope Tassie starts to consume some meat. Here's my prediction. Here's a straight up hypothesis for Mark Tassie. If he were to drop his fruit bullshit right now, and he just starts consuming a well-formulated animal foods diet. You know, we start him out with some eggs, some fish, high-quality stuff. He does that for a week. He's going to notice a few things. He's not going to feel sick like he thought he was going to, and he's going to feel better. He's going to immediately have more energy throughout the day. He's going to feel stronger. His neck, his face, his arms and shoulders are going to fill out in a healthy way. I think Mark, unfortunately, was overweight earlier in his life, and he's very scared to gain that weight back. This is no hate to Mark Tassie. I feel for the guy. I truly made an emotional connection with Mark. A lot of what he said in the interview, it made me really feel something for him. I felt very bad for him in a lot of cases. I didn't want to hammer on him too heavily. It wasn't enjoyable for me to see that or do that. But I think he's a little bit deluded in terms of what he thinks will happen to him if he starts consuming animal foods. And I think that he's a little bit brainwashed by the cults of yesteryear, in regards to this whole mucus-free diet and all this stuff. It's just, I just want him to try it. I want him to test it, you know, and then he can make the decision for himself. Michelle says the link isn't working. Okay, let me see what we can do here. Sometimes we have to remake a new one. This YouTube is, or sorry, Google is great, but there's some things that just don't work properly. Let me tell you that much. I'm going to send a new one to her. Done. Try that one out. There. Michelle. Yeah, the blood test would be very interesting if Mark jumps on that. They're a few $100s, so, you know, they're not cheap. But I think that would be good for him to get that. And, you know, say Mark takes the blood test, right? And say his triglyceride to HDL ratio is over 3, which is like imminent heart attack range. It's definitely, it's very dangerous. A lot of vegans are close to it. Even the very healthy, lean ones. So I think that might wake him up. It might be a wake-up call. And I would venture to say that he's almost guaranteed to have very high triglycerides. We're just seeing that across the board with almost every single vegan now. It's like the consistent nail in the coffin. Michelle Lowe's were high. She did a video about her blood work compared to vegetable police's. Hers were on the very, very high end. Even on the conventional blood test, it says she's at the very top. She's like, oh, I'm trying to get that down. No, you ain't going to get that down. It's impossible. It only gets worse. The only way you can get it down as a vegan is to fast and lose weight. But you can only go so far, right? You can only lose so much weight. You can only play that card for so long. Proof? Proof? What proof, Baza? Got all the proof I need right here, baby. Come check my toilet after I use it every day. That's the proof I need. That's all the proof you need. How's that misinterpreting her results? I watched the video. She says that in her video. I'm just regurgitating her results, what she said. You dummy. Hey, Michelle, where are you at? Because I'm sending you the link. It should be working. Can't carry this all on my own for forever. I'm getting nervous here, Michelle. Come on. There's no need for science, Chris. We have good science on both sides. Just depends on what tribe you want to be in. You think your science is better. I think my science is better. But what doesn't lie is the results. What doesn't lie is the results. That's what vegans do not have. They do not have good results. It says the plugin is blocked. Michelle, you need to figure that out on your end. It's something with your browser. If you're on Safari or Mac, you gotta, do something. Because we're using Google Hangouts, and I don't have a way to not use Google Hangouts right now. Results talk, BS walks. Yes, it is her computer. Michelle, it is definitely your computer. It's a little tricky. She's fashionably late. Nobody's stood me up or been this late before. She's playing mind games, isn't she? That's cheeky psychologist. I bet the thing that triggered the most vegans in Vegetable Police's video, his most recent video about the blood test, is the fact that he praised Frank Tufano. Michelle says she's in. Yeah. Okay, we got her, guys. I'm in,
guys.
Okay. Whoa. My ears, Michelle. The voice. Here we go. She's a PhD. She'll figure it out. Well, Michelle Lowe, welcome to the channel. You are a well-known yet still tiny channel like my own, making big waves, getting the attention of a lot of people. Why do you think that is, by the way?
I've got some kind of lag going on.
Some kind of light?
I've got a big lag going on.
Oh, big lag. It's going to be a little bit of lag on you to yourself, but me to my screen should be really fast.
Yeah, the voice.
Let it catch up, maybe. Are you on Wi-Fi right now? Oh, I think I know what's going on here. You've got to pause your YouTube video. And then you've got to make sure that the sound is coming through Google Hangouts.
Okay. Right.
We're just sipping peppermint over here, guys. With the Elise Parker. Oh, we're good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good now. It's fast.
I think so. There's still a little bit of a lag.
Well, there's going to be a little bit of video lag on your screen, but just try and pay attention to mine.
No,
my
bit
side
of
of the
voice
screen.
lag. Bit of voice
bit of
lag.
voice lag. Well, we are how many miles? 5,000 miles. All right. So, back to the little intro here. I said, you've got a small channel, but you're making big waves. A lot of people know who you are. Why do you think the reason is for that?
Ruffled a few feathers, maybe.
Well, we all know the one guy who's really got his you've really got under his skin, but I just mean in general, people know who you are. With a 1,000 subscriber channel, it's kind of interesting on YouTube. There's million subscriber channels. You got a freely, but somebody like me's on her radar. She's making posts on Instagram about me, and then somebody like you who's got a small channel, 1,000 subscribers. You're on all these other people's radar, so it's interesting that that's going on, and people wanted to see this chat. By the way, they know who you are, so.
I don't know. I can't answer that. Maybe I've got
Theories are welcome here, by the way, Michelle. That's what vegans also don't understand. They don't understand theories. They need a proof and science for everything, but sometimes we need to talk in what we think might happen, what we think might be going on. We got to use the mind, like psychologists.
Yeah. It's a bit of psychology, but I don't know. I can't answer that.
So,
people have got to know me.
People have got to know you. I feel like I've gotten to know you a little bit. I've watched a lot of your content recently, just been trying to catch up on what your general message is, what you talk to your subscribers about. At first, I thought that, well, I still think that you like to cover a lot of the gossip and drama. You like to cover a lot of my content. You make critiques about a lot of the live streams, a lot of what people say. Something I do respect what you say is that you're not a nutrition expert, so you don't come at the whole vegan thing from that angle. I think that's smart of you to protect yourself that way, because it leaves vegans open to a lot of criticism. And then you've got guys like, let's say, a Vegan Gains who claims to be a nutrition expert. And then you have like a Bart K who is a scientist, is more of an expert in terms of breaking apart studies. And then you've got them not wanting to even, or, Vegan Gains kind of running and tucking his tail, not wanting to speak to him and prove it. So luckily, by not claiming to be a nutrition expert, you don't have to really prove anything now. Now you get to sort of just speak and critique, kind of like myself. I just kind of go from a results-based approach. Like, what's your foundation to why you think veganism is good, and that, like, what's your main gist of your message, would you say?
I've been an ethical vegan. I don't claim that veganism is the panacea of health. I think there are many people who can benefit from a plant-based diet, but I think a plant-based diet is different from veganism. Veganism is an ideology. Veganism is a way of life, whereas a plant-based diet, you can dip into it and out of it like you can any other diet. So, for example, someone might want to, I don't know, lose weight and choose a plant-based diet because they like eating plants as a form of losing weight. And then once they've got their results, they can then go back to eating whatever diet they had before. Whereas someone who is embracing veganism, it's a lifestyle. So it's not just about food. It's about choosing products wisely. It's about choosing the way you live wisely and mindfully and sustainably. So I'm not coming across on my channel as being an expert in health or nutrition, because I have no qualifications in that area. I know a little bit about nutrition because I've read some studies, but I haven't done a systematic review of those studies. I haven't written essays or passed exams. So I can't possibly claim to be an expert in nutrition. I can give my opinions on nutrition, and that's obviously going to be from a vegan perspective, right? So when I was watching the chat before I came on, and someone said that I cherry pick. Of course I do. Of course I do. Everybody does, because
Absolutely.
We're making a YouTube video. We're not making a scientific, systematic review or a meta-analysis. We are doing a YouTube video, which is partly informational, but also there's some entertainment value there as well. So yeah, of course, we play up to the audience a little bit. We cherry pick. Maybe that's why people have got to know me, because I'm a little bit canny, maybe, in the way that I angle my videos sometimes. Not all the time, but I invite comment. I always invite comment. I allow trolls on my channel. So I think that spreads a message. I don't just ban people. There are a few people that have been banned, but I don't ban people. Get out. Oh, my son's here. Just ignore him. What
we got? It's a Chelsea banner? What is that?
We've won 6 times.
Charlie FC.
Charlie. Okay. All right.
Charlie FC. They got promoted. Just ignore him.
So, no, I appreciate. I like that.
When I was on live stream with Primal Edge, he came in with a plate of chicken.
He's trolling you. He's trolling you. I love it.
He's trolling me. Yeah. That's why I don't mind trolls on the channel, because I live with the biggest troll in the world.
It's wonderful. I love it. And so, what do you think about vegans calling ex-vegans liars? So, like, everything you just said there is great, because that's the same approach that I take. I can't claim to be a nutrition expert, but I can make claims. I can say, this is what happened to me with definitive, with a definitive stance. I can say, I think this is what's going on in other people, and I am open and honest about that. So vegans calling me a liar doesn't make sense to me. They can say I'm wrong. They can disagree with me. They can say I'm incorrect. They can disagree for whatever reason they want. I'm okay with that. But why do you think they're calling us liars? And this is the other thing I mainly disagree with the whole vegan side is they're all about character assassination. And they want to make you seem less believable and less honest than you are, rather than just disagreeing with you and trying to prove you wrong, maybe with their own results or, through science. Again, I don't like to bring science into the equation on my channel because there's good science on both sides. We know that. So what do you think about that? Just the whole liar comments.
I think the liar comments come from some ex-vegans. Some of the higher profile ex-vegans have lied, like Ravana, for example. She was making, I've never watched Ravana's channel, so I'm only going off secondhand information here.
Okay.
But apparently she was claiming to be vegan, making YouTube videos as a vegan or a plant-based health person. And then the only reason why she came out as an ex-vegan was because she got photographed by someone, and that photograph ended up on Instagram.
Oh, she got it the worst. She blew it, in my opinion. Like, I don't know her personally, but
yeah,
the way she got caught was bad.
She was the one, I think, that got the most negative comments regarding being called a liar, because she was, and she got found out. Now, I can only speak for myself that if somebody like yourself as an ex-vegan, and I'll come on to my ex-veganism shortly as well, if you want to, because I do have some kind of sympathy with ex-vegans, because I was an ex-vegan. So let me explain. I went vegetarian at the age of 11.
Wow. Okay.
I gave up meat and fish together with my friend. Me and my friend were both into animal rights. We just started high school. We thought we were grown up, and we said we are going to become vegetarian. She lasted 5 weeks. I'm still there. So I haven't eaten meat or fish since I was 11 years old, despite loads of opposition from my family who said I'm going to die of malnutrition. I got took to the doctors because they thought I had an eating disorder. And I was healthy. The doctor just sent my mum away saying, this girl is healthy. Because I was a cyclist. I used to do gym work as a teenager. I was healthy. At the age of 16, I discovered veganism. I didn't know what veganism was until at the age of 16. And I don't know where I must have seen it on TV or something, but it certainly wasn't like a high profile like it is today. And I went vegan for 4.5 years. And then I dropped off the wagon because...
Interesting. By the way, I always say 4.5 years is the vegan wall. And that's my exact time too.
It was nothing to do with bad health. I was very, very healthy. I'd had a baby as a vegan, my daughter, who is now 27. I'd had a baby as a vegan. She was a good weight when she was born. She was healthy. She was a good feeder. It was when she was about, 6-7 months old, I started to drink milk because she was having milk. She wasn't vegan. I didn't bring her up as a vegan because none of my family were vegan, right? And there was so much opposition in my family to me being vegan. I didn't push the issue to try and force my baby to be vegan on my family because of my family, right? But I dropped off the wagon because I loved milk. And we used to get raw milk. I was living with my nan who used to know the farmer, and we used to get raw milk. And it was utterly delicious. So that was the thing that broke my veganism. But I've never liked eggs, although I've occasionally had eggs in like a sandwich or something, but I've never liked eggs. The only thing I have had that I liked properly since the age of 11 was milk, cheese, and milk chocolate. That's it. So back to the ex-vegan thing, I do have sympathy with ex-vegans because it's very, very easy to fall off a wagon because there might be a particular food that you're missing or a particular kind of opposition from people around you. So I keep the door open, like I've done with Jacko Wacko. Some people have, made videos about Jacko Wacko. I don't know whether you're familiar with Jacko Wacko's situation. I don't agree with the way people have been really nasty towards him. I think that guy is not very well. He's confused, and I would rather leave the door open for him, not to force him back into veganism, but to say, look, I know what it feels like when you're being, I don't know, persuaded into doing something and you think it's a great idea at the time. And I know Jacko has said that he loved meat. So I can understand if there's a temptation there because you love meat, like I loved milk and the temptation was there. It's very easy to fall off the wagon. And I spent many, many years denying that cows were being treated badly because I was drinking milk. And just over 3 years ago now, I went back to veganism, and here we are.
But doesn't it make sense that we love meat?
Sorry?
A lot of us, doesn't it make sense that we do love meat if we are omnivores or carnivores by classification? And a lot of us get a lot of health benefits from it.
We're not carnivores by classification. There is
no, we're not. We're not.
Absolutely not. We are not. There's no zoological or biological evidence to suggest that we are carnivorous. But I do believe.
Did you say biological? There's no biological evidence? There's
no biological evidence that we're carnivorous.
Well, we talked about this a little bit. Our stomach acid and things like that do point to the fact that we can easily absorb and consume these things.
Yeah, I made a video about this just a few days ago, actually. It was in response to a Frank Tufano video. And I got a table from a journal article of stomach acids. Mm-hmm. And it's absolutely right that the average recorded stomach acid for a human being is recorded as 1.5, right? Which is similar to a rabbit, actually, a herbivorous animal. And there are many reasons why a non-carnivorous animal might have a stomach acid that's 1 or 2.
Okay.
So there's two things here that I discussed in my video. Firstly, individual differences. That although you can say the average stomach acid for a human being is 1.5, that it depends on whereabouts in the stomach that measure is taken. It depends on where in the digestive process that measure is taken. It also depends on the individual's age. Older people have got stomach acids closer to 3 or even 4. Young children have got stomach acid which are closer to 3 on average. Remember that it depends on partly the digestive process. It depends what your diet is like as well. And when we're looking across species, it becomes the path, the waters become muddied when we consider those individual differences. So even if we say that the human being's stomach acid is 1.5 and everybody's is 1.5, it might not be because we have evolved as a carnivorous species.
No, I know. I agree on that. It's not just one variable. I would say there's other things too, like the fact that we do not have any fermentation chambers. We're not designed to handle large quantities of fiber.
No, not true. We don't have fermentation chambers because we're not ruminant animals.
But monkeys have hindgut fermentation chambers, and they're not ruminant animals either.
They have a cecum, like say for example, a gorilla has a cecum, which in the human is the appendix, right? So it's a non-functional organ now, right? But we still ferment through our colon.
Yes, we do, but it's a very inefficient process.
We take fiber and we digest it into short-chain fatty acids.
You are correct.
Now,
Hold on, though. We only get about 8% of our daily energy from that, whereas a monkey is much more efficient at this process and has a much larger chamber designed to hold that material, and they get 60%.
Yeah, when you say monkey...
Like any monkey, let's just do it broad.
No, because there are some species of monkey who are completely herbivorous and have stomach acids like I can't remember what species it is, but it's got stomach acid of about 6. And then you've got baboons, which are almost carnivorous. They hunt. They're quite vicious. They're quite ferocious.
So isn't that interesting then?
Materials.
You know what I mean?
They've got stomach acids of around 3 or 4. And then you've got chimpanzees, which are classified as frugivores, but they hunt. They supplement their diet with meat.
I think specifically chimpanzees have what I'm talking about, and gorillas as well.
Right.
Like, I don't know specifically the gorillas. I can just throw out silverback. I would just be guessing there.
They're completely different species.
Right, but they do absorb the short-chain fatty acids in a similar manner. Like, I've dug into the data on this, and they're getting about 60% of their daily calories from short-chain fatty acids, whereas the maximum human potential is 8 to 10%. So no matter what, we can't get our energy that way.
That might be you might be talking about gorillas.
Okay.
Because we haven't shared a common ancestor with gorillas for about 9 to 10 million years at the best guess of science so far. So in those 9 million years, right, the gorilla has gone off and done its thing, and humans have gone off and done their thing. And there's been many species in between who've had lots of different experiences and evolutionary problems to overcome. The gorilla has sat in a forest, and its digestive system has become very specialized. It's specialized in eating leaves, some fruits, but its diet is mainly leaves and shoots and things like that. There's no way in the world that we spent 9 million years, right, to get where we are now, eating leaves. We have never, and any of the species in between the common ancestor and us, none of them have been leaf eaters. So it's absolutely right and true that, of course, gorillas are going to be able to get more energy from those leaves than human beings. Human beings have gone through many evolutionary hardships and genetic bottlenecks, and there's many species in between that common ancestor 9 million years ago, or even between us and the chimp. Us and the chimp are really quite different. I mean, we share the majority of our DNA, but it's not about the amount of DNA we share. It's about the genes that are turned on and turned off. That's the important thing. But you're absolutely right that a gorilla is able to get much more energy from leaves than we could. We can't get very much energy at all from leaves.
Right, but almost all plants operate in the same manner. Like, whole foods are all pretty much the same thing. They're mostly fibrous, and we're going to be consuming a lot of these things. Yes, we're going to be consuming some simple sugars from them and getting energy that way as well, maybe from fruit. But when we start considering the fact that we have amylase in our saliva, from my research, we got, and this is like unbiased research, is just like going onto Google and really trying to find out the answers here. I was actually researching this as a vegan because I was arguing with non-vegans trying to prove them wrong, and I was like, these are kind of weak arguments. And I found that out as a vegan, that we got amylase, it's estimated about 250,000 years ago, which is not very long. And that's around the same time we started using oven technology. So it makes sense, like the tubers.
True. That's not true.
Okay.
Gorillas, chimps, Neanderthals, because the Neanderthal DNA has been, the genome for the Neanderthal species has been sequenced. The whole genome has been sequenced. All of those species can produce salivary amylase. They've got the AMY1 gene.
Okay.
Right. However, humans, us, Homo sapiens, somewhere along the line, whether that's 250,000 years ago or maybe a little bit later than that even, what we had was some kind of genetic mutation, and we now have multiple copies, an average of 6 copies of the AMY1, which means that the salivary amylase in our mouth starts the digestion process of starch much more effectively than did Neanderthals, than do chimpanzees or gorillas today. That's because chimpanzees and gorillas don't focus on starch as their energy source, whereas humans, Homo sapiens, have relied heavily on starch.
But that would still be a relatively recent. That would still be a relatively recent adaptation, though, right? Like something that's not so much in terms of the overall evolution, but like something that we survived with.
But if you think about a mutation, for a mutation to take hold in an entire species, it has got to have been a necessity. It has got to have been a genetic advantage.
Okay.
Right? Because there might have been mutations back in the past. There might have been the odd chimpanzee that was born with a genetic mutation whereby it had multiple copies of the AMI1 gene. But it's not taken hold in that species because they don't need it. It's either a disadvantage or more likely neither advantage nor disadvantage. It's just neutral. So it doesn't get passed on. Whereas in Homo sapiens, that multiple copy, that mutation, wherever it started, that had an advantage within the species. So that then meant those individuals who had that mutation were more likely to pass their genes on to the next generation. Yeah. And therefore, then because we've had so many genetic bottlenecks and so many times in evolution, times have become so harsh that the human species has almost died out and has had to kind of, start again almost and flourish. For whatever reason, that the multiple copies of the AMI1 has survived. And the only reason that can be possible for it to have survived and being passed on to us is because there was such a massive advantage. And yes, it is relatively recent. I mean, even though actually over 1.5 million years ago, there's evidence that Homo erectus, which is a previous species to Homo sapiens, were able to cook. They did cook. And they were probably cooking tubers. They were probably cooking some level of starches. They were also probably cooking meat because it's more easy to digest. Perhaps whatever meat they were eating then, right? But yeah, Homo sapiens, let's say 250,000 years ago, because that might be something, that might be about right, actually. Cooking became incredibly important. Because we were going.
Well, I think that's when oven technology, they call them hearths. That's when that technology became available. It was about 250,000 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, 250,000 years ago sounds about right, because that would be the beginnings of, if you took somebody from 250,000 years ago, like a newborn baby, and you brought them up in modern times, they probably wouldn't look any different than us. They probably would be able to function very well in society. So that was kind of the beginnings of the modern Homo sapiens.
Okay. So all this information is good. And I respect you for understanding this history and stuff like that. So some of it is actually more knowledgeable in some areas than I have. And I don't claim to be an expert in this, but it's just research that I've done on my own. But despite all this information, if we look at the modern current day, and I know that you don't come to veganism as a health diet, do you just think that we can, specifically in regards to the health of the plant-based diet, what is your position on that? Do you feel like it is optimal for humans, or do you think that we can survive to a high degree to such that it's good enough to where we might as well do it and not kill animals anymore? Because I feel like vegans need to make that statement. They need to separate themselves from the pack and hold that flag up and say, okay, I'm willing to accept that this is not optimal. Whereas you have other vegans that are like, this is the most optimal human diet. We evolved this way. And by the way, it has the benefit of all the animals. And also I wanted to add a little, actually, I'm going to stop there. I don't want to sidetrack you. So those two things is what I'm interested in. Like, do you think it's optimal, the best possible diet for the humans? And do you think everybody can do it? Or do you think it's good enough and therefore that justifies the animal rights aspect?
I think firstly, it depends what you mean by optimal.
Okay.
Because there are 7 billion people on the planet.
Yes.
And every one of us is genetically different.
Okay.
Unless you are an identical twin. But what do you mean by optimal? It depends on what your personal goals are. It depends on your genetics. It depends on your culture. What do you mean by optimal? If you mean the best person you can be as optimal, or whether you mean that in terms of athletic fitness, I think that, it's an individual decision, isn't it?
Yes.
What I mean by optimal might be something different than what you mean by optimal.
I guess when we say like expressing the maximum potential of our genes, like there's some kids that are gonna die of cancer at 6 years old, and it's really unfortunate. It doesn't matter what diet they're on; they're gonna they're done. And it's unfortunate, but there's other people who have the genes to live to 100, but then they piss away their life drinking alcohol and doing drugs, and they die at 60, right? So we know that they didn't live to the potential of their genetic potential. I'm talking about what gets you to the best possibility of exercising your genes potential. That's what I mean by optimal.
Okay. I don't think there's any one diet that can do that for the entire human race.
Okay. Fair enough.
However, I think if you are coming at veganism, now remember I said before that veganism and the plant-based diet are different, right? So if you're coming at wanting to live on a plant-based diet because you are an ethical vegan, right? And you run into problems on a particular type of diet, what you're going to do as an ethical vegan is to try lots of different ways. So you might, you might take medical support, you might get help from a nutritionist, you might explore your gut health, you might be completely fantastic. You might find a particular way of eating that works absolutely for you, and that becomes your optimal diet. But that same diet for somebody else isn't going to be optimal. So I think an ethical vegan will try their damnedest to find, if they want to be optimal, right? So they want to be an ethical vegan and they want optimal fitness, genetic health, etc. They're going to try every single way possible to do that. Whereas somebody who is coming at plant-based eating just from a health perspective, then they might not stick at plant-based eating. They might not, because they don't embrace veganism, and that's fine. So that person might say, well, the plant-based diet isn't optimal for me because I'm not very good at digesting gluten, or I'm not very good at, whatever, right? So it depends on the person. And I think anybody who makes a blanket statement that everybody can live on this particular diet is misguided. And potentially, if that is nutritional advice that they're giving, is potentially dangerous, because there are loads of genetic reasons why people can't live on the same diet as the next person.
So let's say that somebody is an ethical vegan. They're coming at veganism from the ethical standpoint, not for health.
Yeah.
But their health starts to fail them at some point.
Yeah.
And they start to experiment with, they really want to stay vegan. They keep experimenting with different variations of the diet, and they do not get results. And then let's say they finally crack, they listen to their doctor or whatever, their family, and they start consuming animal foods. And for whatever reason, those symptoms they were having are alleviated. Right. What would you say in that aspect? Because I feel like that's happening more than people want to admit. And I think this is where the friction begins between me and the vegans and stuff, and people like me, because we are standing up and saying, like, for instance, I was not an ethical vegan. I didn't classify with that, but I certainly was. I was doing all of the principles of veganism. I did not buy leather things. I tried to eat sustainably and locally. No expense was spared on my vegan diet. Let me tell you, I spent about $900 a month as a vegan on average. Some of my dinners I was spending $4 in broccoli on some of my dinners. This is no joke. So people saying the vegan diet is cheap, they're full of shit, especially if you're doing it the ethical, local, organic way. I just want to point that out. So I was a vegan. I was a vegan, 4.5 years. I made a vegan dating app. I wanted to promote veganism. I thought this was the best way to go. And even though I struggled a year in, I struggled 2 years in. That's why I did a juice fast. I went to Hawaii. I saw a bunch of other people struggling in their own ways. Not all of them. Some were doing okay. And some said they were doing okay, but looked awful, So, I guess that's the thing, is that the people have an issue with us leaving veganism, even though we did try everything. We did try several different forms of the diet. Things still didn't work out for us. And we found health afterwards. And you've even said that it's potentially dangerous to, prescribe the vegan diet to everybody, which is what all vegans do, by the way. Most vegans, maybe not you, but almost every vegan does that. Vegan diet will cure you. You got
No, because there's no such thing as a vegan diet.
Plant-based diet.
What I said was, if somebody has a particular way of eating that works for them, and then they come online and try to sell that, let's say raw till 4, for example, right?
Okay.
It might work for Durian Rider and Freely back in the day when they were both cycling up the Doyle like 1 million times a day, and they didn't put on weight. When they had 1 million bananas, they didn't put on any weight. But then when people bought the raw till 4 book, they put on weight and their triglycerides went through the roof, right? Because the raw till 4 diet can't work for most people, because most people aren't needing that amount of calories and that amount of sugar, right? So that in that respect, idealizing one particular way of eating is potentially dangerous, as we've seen with the raw till 4 craze, right?
Yes.
If I tried to live on raw till 4, I can tell you I would be ill. If I went on a juice fast, I would be ill, because I have a problem, for whatever reason, digesting fructose. I have to be careful which fruits I eat. If I eat 1 apple, I can manage 1 apple. If I eat 2 apples, I'm gonna get bellyache, right?
But you're recently, your triglycerides were very high on your blood tests. So it's like,
what was, sorry?
Your triglycerides were very high on your blood tests. That they're right at the very top of the limit. And you even said you're trying to get those down. And it's my theory that you're not going to be able to get those down because of the foods you're consuming, which is primarily a high carbohydrate diet, because that's the only way to consume a plant-based diet. It's always a high carbohydrate diet.
It is possible to live on a plant-based diet that's low carb.
If your food choices are like this big, though.
Exactly. Your choices are limited. Unless you want to live on nuts and avocados, your choices are limited. So, I work better on a high-carb diet, but I don't work well on fruit.
How do you think you would do if you did a carnivore diet? Or, a carnivore-esque diet? You got some greens, you got a little bit of side of rice, and you did mostly animal fats and proteins, like how I advocate people to try.
Probably die. And I'm not saying that in a fickle, silly kind of way.
Okay.
When I was a small child, before the age of 11, when I decided to be a vegetarian, my family were big meat eaters, right? It was meat with nearly every meal. And I didn't like it. Even as a small child, I could not eat lamb or pork. I would literally throw it back. I could only eat beef if it was like the really dry, like ends of beef, right?
Did you ever eat it by itself, though? Or did you always have it with other food? Because, by the way, when I was a kid, I used to get stomach aches all the time from eating steak. And I thought steak gave me stomach aches, and it doesn't.
I didn't like vegetables when I was a kid, so I never ate anything green.
Okay.
I didn't really like fruit because it gave me bellyache. I didn't like meat because it made me sick, and I just didn't like it.
So I
had a very limited diet when I was a kid.
Okay.
And to be honest, as a vegetarian and then as a vegan, I had a better diet. I was a lot healthier as a vegan. The first time round when I was a teenager and I was vegan, I had so much energy. But that was a long time ago. So, we have got to take age into account as well as we get older. Our priorities change. It's not necessarily your health that dictates that. It's your priorities change a little bit. They have for me anyway. They've changed. So I wouldn't want to be going to the gym like 7 times a week, and I wouldn't want to be doing loads and loads of cycling anymore. I've got other things to do. Whereas
do you feel healthy
younger,
now?
I loved it.
Do you feel healthy now, consuming the diet that you're on now? Like, would you say it's as good as it gets, or?
I think a starch-based diet is the one that suits me best. because it eliminates, it's almost like an elimination diet. It eliminates all the things that I either don't like, and I won't eat them. If I don't like them, I won't eat them. That's the way I look at things, right? It's, if you don't like it, don't do it. Life's too short. Just don't do it.
I agree.
So it's either the things I don't like or the things that don't agree with me. Because I'd love to eat fruit. I love fruit. I absolutely adore fruit. But I can't eat. I can eat one banana, 2 bananas, and then I'm done. Or a few berries, and then I'm done. Because I know I'm going to make myself ill. So there's no way in the world I would change my diet now.
You have some sort of genetic mutation that doesn't let you eat half the stuff that the vegans are saying is healthy and good. Like you can't even eat berries. I eat berries all the time. I bought 2 big boxes of blueberries yesterday.
No, I'm all right with blueberries.
All right.
It's raspberries and strawberries, and I did a food intolerance test some time ago, and it came back that I was intolerant of raspberries and oats. Funnily enough.
Oh, that's a trigger for me.
Milk. So those were the 3 foods that came up as highly intolerant. So obviously milk isn't a problem for me. And I was actually, looking back, I loved milk when I was a vegetarian, but I was completely intolerant of it.
Isn't it amazing that vegans think that oatmeal is like a superfood though? Like they think that oats are amazing. Yeah. And I have issues too with oatmeal.
I love oats. I do eat oats, but as long as I just have a small amount of oats, I'm fine. It's when I go mad. If I had oats every day for a week, that's when it would start to get me. If I just have a one-off bowl of oats, I'm fine.
It's like an accumulation effect. I think that happens with a lot of vegans, honestly. And I know of people who've actually developed intolerances to eating bananas. After 10 years, they ate 1,000 calories a day, and it was like one of their staple foods, and they can no longer eat bananas. And it was one of the trigger things for this guy to be like, you know what? I can't. This is something about this diet is not working. Maybe, and this is again where when they finally get that result in themselves, that's when they're willing to break and try something outside the vegan diet. When every food is taken away from you,
Do you know what? I think that's a really good point, that you can develop intolerances and allergies at any point in your life. So I've got loads of allergies. I've always been allergic to loads of different things. And I used to be massively allergic to cats when I was a kid. And one day it just went away. And I'm not allergic to cats anymore. It just went away.
I found that with myself too.
An allergy or an intolerance can develop at any point in life, and it can disappear as well. I don't know why. It's something to do with the immune system. So for somebody who has eaten bananas every single day and then suddenly becomes intolerant of them, it can happen. And it's nothing to do with the vegan diet. It's to do with, for whatever reason, your immune system has decided it doesn't like bananas anymore.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Eat something else,
Well, I guess my point was we don't build intolerances to meat or animal foods that I've heard of anyway.
Oh, we do.
Okay.
There are egg allergy is one of the biggest allergies.
Okay.
There are many people who are allergic to eggs. I don't know what it is in eggs that creates the allergy. That's why I don't know what it's like where you live, but in the UK, well-known allergens have got to be written on ingredients, like on the sides of packets. They've got to be written in bold and in capital letters. So you have things like wheat, soy, eggs, milk. They're all in bold because they're common allergens. Like wheat, obviously, from gluten. A lot of people are allergic to soy or some kind of soy products. And milk is one of the most, and peanuts, obviously. But milk, you can be intolerant of milk in loads of ways. There's loads of things in milk that you can be intolerant of.
Yeah, a lot of people, milk is a common one, especially not raw.
Sorry,
milk is a common milk is a common allergy, or people are commonly allergic to milk.
Yeah,
lactose intolerant, for instance, but
it can be the lactose, it can be the casein, it can be the whey. So when you say that animal foods don't create allergies or intolerances, well,
I haven't
that's
heard of
not
anybody
true.
becoming allergic to beef, though. Specifically, beef seems to be just like the holy meat that everybody can eat.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I just
okay.
haven't seen a case where that's
Yeah.
not the case.
Maybe everybody could eat, I don't know, Twinkies. Maybe
Right.
everybody could eat cornflakes. I don't know. Just because everybody could eat one food, it doesn't mean to say everybody should eat that food or would want to eat that food.
But it does seem to give a little bit of evidence against what the vegans are saying when they're trying to say that this is all meat is carcinogenic. They just like blanket statement everything. You got Dr. Greger saying that it's illegal to put delicious or nutritious, or not delicious, but nutritious on the label of eggs. And that's actually a lie, by the way. I've recently bought eggs with nutritious right on the package. I'd love to just send a screenshot to Dr. Greger on that one because that's not true. So you'll find that right there in the regular store. But yeah, if everybody can consume beef and be healthy and feel good, then it's just weird that this science comes out saying that the animal foods are carcinogenic and just making people drop dead when you have people getting the best health of their life and even coming from a vegan diet, eating a lot of this food.
If you look at the science, what the science actually says is it's processed meat that has been implicated in colon and rectal cancer. Processed meat. So that's the meat that's been smoked and treated.
Well, that's what you're saying because you're smart. But there's many, many, many vegans that will just apply that to everything. And that's another issue with, and of course, they may dig up some science that supports whatever they're saying, or they'll bring up the associative data saying these countries consumed more meat and then they are dying faster, even though we have the Hong Kong people that are now consuming the most meat and their longest lives. It's like this science, not only is there good science on both sides, but it changes every few years anyway. So let's go by the results,
Science is complex. Now, there's many reasons why a scientific study can throw up a particular finding that's maybe new or different than others. And it might be a methodological difference. It might be a sample difference. It might be a bias in the researchers. The researchers might be industry funded. So they might have been funded, or they know that they'll get more funding if they angle their findings in a way that fits whatever that industry wants them to find. So when we're looking at scientific studies, we can't just look at the results. We've got to look at who the authors are. We've got to look at any conflicts of interest. And I'm talking about either side here.
Yeah.
I'm talking about industries that fund, plant-based foods, as well as the meat, dairy, and egg industries, who do fund a lot of studies. You have to, like the egg board, fund a lot of studies. The dairy industry fund a lot of studies. But so do companies that, that make a lot of money on plant-based foods. So you've got to look at the conflicts of interest and the authors before you even look at the study itself. And then when you get to the study itself, you've then got to decide based on the methodology and based on the sample, based on the numbers, the type of statistics that have been done. All of those factors will help you decide whether this study is one that perhaps you should you should pay some heed to, or whether it's just another study that has got the authors a publication. Because at the end of the day, scientists are human beings, right? They want a career. They've got they've got rent to pay. They might have a family to feed, and they're going to take money from, if they get the opportunity for a research grant to forward their career, then they'll take it because they're human and they've got a career to forward. So you've got to take all of these things into consideration.
Sure. Let's shift gears a little bit.
And most people don't. And I don't just mean the carnivores. I mean, most people don't. Most people don't understand the nuances that happen within the game of science.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, scientific findings do change. A scientific consensus that has maybe that's been an established finding for many years can be overturned by some kind of landmark study. Well, even that you need to be suspicious of. You need to be as mindful that this landmark study that has revolutionized science might have been funded by a particular industry. So just keep your head screwed on. That's why maybe I come across as being not as vegan as some vegans, because I look at the science, and if science came along and said, actually, meat isn't carcinogenic, we made a mistake, processed meat isn't carcinogenic, right? We're gonna take it off the list of class A carcinogens. Well, I would just turn around and say, well, all right, the people who are eating bacon, they're no more likely to get colorectal cancer than I am. Right? And that's it.
So how do you think that you're going to, like, what's your plan of attack here to improve your blood test? Because you did seem a little concerned with your triglycerides that are right at the top. So
yeah, triglycerides, though. I mean, triglycerides are a funny thing because they vary a lot. Mm-hmm. So to get a proper measure, I mean, all triglycerides measure, the triglyceride number is the amount of fat in your blood at that particular time point. So I could fast for 7 days, right? And then take a triglyceride test, and it'll be mega low because I won't have any fat in my blood. The only fat that I'm going to have in my blood is whatever my body's pumped out to give me some energy. Yeah.
Yes.
So the triglyceride figure, I think people need to be, again, it's about being mindful that unless you take the test several times, you can't really be.
Okay, but all that aside, that's kind of like side skirting the issue. But let's say that you do consume whatever you think is going to improve it, right? And you genuinely are eating that consistently, and then you go and you take another test, and the triglycerides are the same or even higher. Then what do you do?
To be honest with you, based on the science, again, I'm not concerned about triglycerides. I'm not saying that it's good to have mega high triglycerides all the time. So let's say, for example, over the next year, I took a test. I took a cholesterol test every single month and got a triglyceride figure every single month for a whole year. And for the entire year, those figures were high. That would be concerning. Because if you have that much fat in your blood for that length of time, clearly there's an issue with your diet, right? But I'm more concerned about my LDL. I want to get my LDL down a little bit. Now, my LDL was higher end of normal. It was 119, right? Now, LDL, I'd like to get that down to under 100. I don't want to get it down to, some people have got LDL figures of like 70 or 40 or whatever. To be honest, yeah, there is a little bit of evidence to suggest that the lower the LDL, the better. But to be honest, I'm a low risk for heart disease anyway. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I exercise. I'm female, which makes a difference apparently. So I'm relatively low risk for heart disease anyway. And of course, I'm not consuming massive amounts of junk food. Contrary to what people think, I don't consume a massive amount of junk food. The only reason why people think I eat junk food is I do occasional taste tests. Like when a new vegan product comes out, I'll go and buy it for a laugh and taste it in the street. Like I did it with the McDonald's burger thing, and it was horrible. It was vile. Like off camera, I put it in the bin.
So, but you've heard your friend Bart Kay's explanation of arterial damage and that, right? So his position on it, where it's like basically sugar is the cause of the inflammation and the damage, then the cholesterol comes to repair it, and cholesterol is being blamed for the damage. Like, what do you think of that? Because that, to me, on a logical basis, sounds really good.
Yeah. On a logical basis, that sounds really good. And there is some truth in the matter, right? Okay. Now, arterial damage has to be in place. Bart is absolutely right. And this is why I wanted to discuss this live with Bart. Because although we've had spats, he's called me names, I've wound him up endlessly, right? So, you know, whatever, it's doing being
You're a bit of a gaslighter,
I mean,
huh,
I don't know whether he's genuinely angry or that's just how he comes across on camera. I don't know, but you know, I've no animosity towards anybody. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate Bart. I actually quite like him. I don't like watching his videos because he talks too slow, and I have to put the speed up to like 1.75 because I'm quite, you know, I just want to hear the information, right? Just get on with it, Bart. Just get on with it, Bart. But actually, I quite like him as a, you know, as somebody that I can have some banter with, and I've wanted to debate him, whether it be a formal debate, whether it be just a discussion like we're having now, right? And have it out with him. That I think he doesn't like epidemiology.
Mm-hmm.
And although I agree absolutely that there are some problems with epidemiology, I don't think we can throw out epidemiology as a discipline. You know, we'd be throwing the baby out with the bathwater if we did that. So we differ on that respect. However, Bart is right when he says that there has to be arterial damage before LDL comes along and starts clogging up the arteries, right? Okay. But inflammation can be caused by many different things. I think Bart has picked on sugar because that's quite convenient. Now, if somebody is for example, vegetable police, right, who's got a massively inflamed gut, he's got ulcerative colitis, he's massively inflamed. Now, his body is reacting to whatever causes that ulcerative colitis. So with his, and I've said this in a video, with his inflammation numbers plus his cholesterol numbers, he needs to worry because he is at risk now of some arterial damage occurring, inflammation setting in because his body is highly inflamed anyway, plus he's got lots of LDL hanging around in his blood that isn't going anywhere. Yeah. So for somebody like him, right, he hasn't been consuming sugar, but he's still massively inflamed because he's got ulcerative colitis. So there's many reasons why somebody's body can have high levels of inflammation. But even before the inflammation sets into a particular artery, that arterial wall has to be damaged by something. And that arterial, it could be tiny, but it triggers a process. And that process is a long one. So it can be something that happened years ago. It could be that you've had, I don't know, a terrible diet throughout your 20s and throughout your 30s, and you get to the age of 40 and you think, oh, I've got to tidy up my diet, and you become a gym bunny, and you I don't know, you take up the carnivore diet, or you take up a plant-based diet, you take up a diet that you think is more healthy than the standard American diet that you've been consuming for 40 years. Unfortunately, right, sometimes that damage has already been done. And although you can improve your health in some ways, and however old you are, you can always improve your health, right? But damage happens, like atherosclerosis or cancer even, happens over many, many years. So somebody can say, I've had the most fantastic diet, and yet I had a heart attack. Because what they don't think of is the 40 years of nonsense that they put their body through beforehand. So
do you think that can be reversed? You know, like
there can be some reversal, but the only diet that has been shown scientifically to reverse heart disease is the Esselstyn diet,
right?
Which is plant-based.
But that's been talked about a lot too, whereas like a lot of those patients were losing weight. They basically were on a restrictive diet so that they had very little to eat. The diet also wasn't sustainable. Most of them dropped out of the diet within like 3 years, I recall. So there's like so many other factors to it. So it's proven scientifically to work. But
that's why I'm not saying that the Esselstyn diet is one that everybody should follow.
Right. Or that it's the only diet. I mean, it could be very well that a meat diet could take you, make you lose or reverse atherosclerosis. We just haven't really studied it directly like that.
Well, I'd like to see the study. I would never say never. But
we know that it doesn't form. We know that it doesn't form plaques.
Based on maybe a hunch, let's say, I would imagine that if we put people who had some kind of, diagnosed heart condition, let's say they've got atherosclerosis already. So let's take 100 people who've been diagnosed with atherosclerotic plaques, right? And we put half of them on a carnivore diet and half of them on the Esselstyn diet for a year. And then we tested them on whatever measures, right? We tested their arterial, whether the arterial plaques had reversed any, whether their general health had improved, and so on and so forth. I think that if those people on the carnivore diet had lost weight, like a significant amount of weight, I think you might see improvement in some of the health markers. But a hunch would say, I don't think that would reverse the arterial plaques, because you'd be having a lot of cholesterol hanging around in the body. And because that arterial damage was already there, I think you'd still get the cholesterol buildup, even though some of the health markers might have improved due to losing weight. This is a complete hunch, right? I'd like to see it done. I'd like to see someone fund the study and see it done, because until we see studies actually done, we can talk forever, right? We can blow YouTube up with the amount of videos we could make debating this. And however interesting it is, it's still just talk. We need to see the study done.
Have you ever worked with autistic people in the sense of a clinical setting?
No, I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm not a qualified clinician. To become a clinical psychologist in the UK, you've got to do a specific doctorate called the DClin Psych, the doctorate in clinical psychology. I don't have that. I've never wanted to work in clinical practice.
Okay.
I work with a colleague who is an expert in autism, so I know a little bit about autism, but not from a clinical perspective.
Are you familiar with Natasha McBride? She's a big fan of. She's all over YouTube. I don't know what her qualification is actually. I think she's a doctor, but she works with autistic kids that are like 3 years old, and she says that 95% of the time she can reverse the autism if they catch it early enough by just basically bombarding the kids with saturated fat and cholesterol, like particularly butter and eggs and things like that.
How old are the kids?
Like 3.
To be honest, there's not many children who get an autism diagnosis as young as 3. You would probably have to be displaying really serious deficits to be diagnosed. Most people who are diagnosed with autism are diagnosed in later childhood because they don't like to diagnose too early. That's in the UK anyway. I don't know about in other parts of the world. And autism as well, we don't know the causes of autism. So by bombarding the brain with saturated fat, I can't see, to quote Bart Kay, I'd like to see the mechanism. I'd like to see how she can prove it's working, how mechanistically that could work, because the brain wants sugar. The brain, right. What she might be doing is putting them on a keto diet, because we do know that there are certain type of epilepsy that seizure amount and seizure intensity is reduced on the keto diet. So she might be following that kind of line, that there are some kids who are epileptic but who are also autistic, and it might be that whatever brain malfunction they've got is helped by a ketogenic diet. It might be that. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Now,
good hunch.
those kids who were put on ketogenic diets because of epilepsy, some of those kids have gone on to develop heart disease, unfortunately, and that is recorded in the literature. Okay. So, whether possibly if you are suffering from very, very severe epilepsy, you'd rather risk heart disease later on down the line. Because heart disease can be treated, obviously, at least in to some level. So that's interesting, but no, I'm not aware of that person's work. And like I said, I'd like to see how she's proposing it works.
Okay, just throwing the name out there and just wondering if you had any more info. So kind of wanted to shift gears a little bit here. Let's talk about a little bit more of the vegan to carnivore banter that we have all going on. Recently, I've gone under fire with criticism for manipulation tactics, potential narcissistic personality disorder, things like this. So I wanted to talk about what you think are the manipulation tactics that vegans use, because recently in the video that you did, you pointed out you went to like some Google website and it had like 12 things that narcissists do. And every single thing that you listed there it sounded like vegans to me. Using what's near and dear to your heart to manipulate you, attacking the foundation to your beliefs were 2 of them. And then there was a bunch of other ones. So
the article that I cited in that video was about gaslighting. Mm-hmm. So anybody can take part in some kind of gaslighting, right? It's a common tactic used in relationships when a relationship is breaking down, right? One partner will try to gaslight the other, or try to, get them to believe things that aren't true, right? Because, that person might be cheating, so they'll try to get their partner to think they're going crazy to hide the cheating, right? So anybody can engage in gaslighting. But people who are, behaving in an abusive manner, behaving in quite a narcissistic manner, those are the people who gaslighting comes very easily to, right? But we can all behave in that way. So if anybody is saying that somebody has got a narcissistic personality disorder because they are behaving in a manipulative manner, we wouldn't diagnose narcissistic personality disorder without, clinical assessments, psychiatric assessments. And there's a lot more to diagnosing someone with a personality disorder than just them being manipulative, because we can all be manipulative. Manipulation is something that human beings are pretty good at, some more than others, right?
Right.
So I think
it's being used like a lot now. Like for some reason, vegans have gotten a hold of this word gaslighting, and they've all gone to Google Dictionary and looked up this word, and they're using it for everything. Now everybody's an expert in clinically diagnosing a gaslighter now. It's the favorite word of veganism.
Yeah, gaslighting, or being a gaslighter isn't a clinical diagnosis. Let's be clear, right? We can all gaslight. We probably have all gaslighted at some point, right? And I think some vegans, and I say some vegans are just as guilty of manipulation tactics, right? What Freely Enduring Rider used to do back in the day. When I was brand new to vegan YouTube in 2016, when I was a brand new vegan for the second time, and I started to search YouTube for vegan videos, and I really wanted to...
So you've only been vegan for 3 years again?
What, sorry?
You've only been vegan again for 3 years now?
Three and a bit years, yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. I thought I for some reason I pictured you vegan for 20 years, but you had that big break in the middle.
I had the big break, yeah, but I was always a vegetarian, so I haven't eaten meat or fish, and very rarely eggs. But
gaslighting Durian Rider.
I searched vegan YouTube and I found Freely Enduring Rider, and I just thought, I don't want anything to do with vegan YouTube. If this is vegan YouTube, I don't want anything to do with it. These people are nuts. These people are just trying to get everybody into some kind of cult. It's ridiculous. And I've mellowed to, I don't follow either Durian Rider or Freely, but they've mellowed. I've just ignored them. But there are many vegans who are trying to sell products or trying to sell some kind of, retreat or whatever it is that they're trying to do, who are behaving in manipulative ways. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. But also there are, what we're seeing now with the rise of carnivore YouTube, we're seeing exactly the same tactics being used by them. But it's a human thing, right? It's not a vegan thing or a carny thing. It's a human thing. If you believe in a cause, then you're going to, maybe, if you're that type of person, you're going to try and manipulate other people to join it. But that's when things start to look like a cult. So when I say that Durin, Ryder and Freely look like cult leaders, that's what they look like, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But carnivores or some ex-vegans are starting to look like cult leaders. Like sending Bart K, for example. I quite like Bart, but he sends his trolls, and the trolls on my comment section have told me that they've been sent by Bart. And he's like, whether he knows it or not, he's become this cult leader. So that's just as bad as what Durin, Ryder and Freely were doing in 2016.
Okay, well, I do want to talk about this is something that I've been waiting to bring up for a while. Mr. Archon, thank you for your New Zealand $2. Why don't vegans mention Esselstyn diet had milk and yogurt in it? That's a good question.
Did it? Oh, I didn't know it did.
It did. I can't verify that right now, but
did it?
I think it did. I've heard that before, actually, by quite a few people. So I wanted to talk about one of the biggest gaslighting things that vegans do, and I've been noticing this for a long time. This is the first time I'm publicly saying this. I've properly fleshed out this this little situation in my mind. But check this out. So when let's say you are coming from a history of digestive issues or any health issues, but specifically digestive issues, okay? Because this is what was near and dear to my heart. Specifically digestive issues. Now, you talk to a group of vegans or you go on vegan YouTube and you start typing in information about digestion. Now, they're going to say, your health gets better by consuming more fiber. We know the longest lived civilizations on the planet consume more fiber. Once you get used to it, fiber is going to aid in digestion. It's going to make your digestion better. All the gut flora is going to balance out. Every magical thing in the world, and I'm sure you've heard this, is going to get better when you start consuming a vegan diet, right? So, as somebody who's coming to the vegan diet for digestive relief, you start talking to vegans and they talk you into it. They say, oh, come on into the vegan diet. Trust me, the fiber, blah, 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 all this stuff's going to help you out, right? Great. So you try the vegan diet. You do it for 6 months. You do it for a year, whatever. You don't get the results that were promised to you, okay? In my case, I went 4.5 years. And with some ups and downs in terms of digestion, very few months were better, but most of the time was significantly worse. And towards the end was very bad, okay? Then this Messiah Goji man comes to the platform. He didn't exist before. Nobody knew about this guy before. There didn't need to be a Goji man 3 years ago because everybody was getting great digestive results on the vegan diet. At least that was the group think brainwashing going on at the time. Everybody thought their digestion was great, but really it wasn't. And when you really looked at the facts, or objectively, it wasn't good digestion. So my point here is in terms of the gaslighting aspect is all these people, let's say you go ex-vegan and you find relief, like I have, like Vegetable Police did, at least in the beginning. A lot of people find digestive relief once they cut out all the fiber and then they go to animal foods, okay? Now, all the vegans will say, you should have saw a doctor first. You should have went to Goji Man first. You should have done this. You should have done that. They have all these excuses why your digestion didn't work. And then when you say, well, I don't need those guys. I found relief by going to animal foods. And then they say, well, you had pre-existing conditions to begin with. That's your problem. That's your fault. And you're like, that's the only reason why I went vegan in the first place, because you guys told me it would fix this shit. So that's like the biggest gaslighting example that I can think of from the vegan side is they bait you into going vegan for digestive relief. Then you leave veganism because you got worse digestion. And then they tell you that, you were you came into the situation with digestive problems in the first place. And here's the clincher to all this. You never ever hear a vegan tell a non-vegan who's thinking about the diet, a prospective vegan. I've never once heard a vegan tell those guys with digestive issues to see a doctor before they go vegan. Woo! Never happened before in the history of the planet.
I can't speak for every single vegan, right? Whether they're on
every
YouTube or not.
Michelle, in this case, we can say every single vegan.
If somebody came to
100%
me
chance
and said, somebody in my social circle or someone at work came to me and said they were having digestive issues, my first thought wouldn't be, I've got to persuade this person to go vegan.
Okay.
I would say you need to see your doctor. You might have cancer, right? Because I tend to catastrophize. Right. So it would be the very first thing. Now, if they somewhere along the line had said, right, I know someone who's got Crohn's disease, for example, and she's had Crohn's, she's had this treatment, that treatment, the other treatment. I've never said to her, try a plant-based diet, because she's not a vegan. She's not veganically minded. I don't even know why that's a word. She's not veganically minded. Why would I want her to try veganism or a plant-based diet and then her get worse? I don't want that on my conscience. So for me, I'm going to always tell somebody to go to see a doctor.
You'd be the rarest vegan of all time then. Well, and again, what I'm saying is a vegan that does tell somebody to go, a vegan that is going to use that as the panacea project and say, hey, it's going to help your digestion out. We know that for sure. They're not the ones telling people to go see a doctor first. They're telling them to go vegan first, and then when it doesn't work out, then they blame you in the first place for having pre-existing conditions. That's the A to Z right there.
In my view, that's irresponsible.
It's very irresponsible, but it's a very constant thing.
Exactly the same as what carnivores are doing.
Okay.
By saying, you're going to improve your health by going
Here's the
carnivore.
difference. Here's the difference. Let me explain the difference. When it doesn't work for you on carnivore, they don't say you did it wrong, and they don't say you came into this with pre-existing conditions, it's your fault. They say, oh, you mean you added in a couple cups of rice per week and it fixed the problem? Great. That's the difference. The vegans are like, you're failed veganism, you didn't do it right. That's the difference.
I think because there's a conflict in some people. Some people don't understand the difference, even vegans, right? They don't understand the difference between veganism as a way of life, as an ethical ideology, and a plant-based diet, right?
But why can't we lump... I look at them the same. They have to be the same.
Irresponsible vegans who try to trick people, not intentionally, but will try to get someone to stop eating animals because they personally believe that, if they can get one person to stop eating animals, that'll save some animals.
Yeah, you know what that's called, right? That's a Drew Morgan term. That's called unethical veganism.
It is unethical.
That's a common thing.
It is unethical and it's irresponsible, because ultimately what it does is it puts people, that person, it can potentially make them more ill than they were in the first place, right? Especially if that vegan is trying to get them to do the plant-based diet in exactly the way they do. It's like what we were talking about earlier, that if somebody tried to persuade me to do veganism by eating a fruit-based diet, I would be ill. I would hate veganism. I would start to think, I hope those animals suffer because I'm suffering. Right? I hope those animals, get killed because I don't. You start to get angry about it. And I think some ex-vegans are angry because they feel they've been lied to. They feel they've been duped.
That's my position.
Yeah, and
that's why I'm here.
I think that's unfortunate. And actually, if we think about it, it's now what we're seeing is a consequence of the cult-like behavior that was happening in 2016, 2017. with the likes of Freely and Durian Rider, who were trying to get people to buy their ebook and go to the Thai Fruit Festival and do the plant-based diet in exactly the way that they did it. And there was no other way to do it. And what we're seeing now is those people who were lied to, some of them just dropped off the wagon and thought, fuck that, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Right. And had a word with themselves and stopped doing it. But there are some who, I don't know, went on to form YouTube channels of their own and became quite successful on YouTube, whilst still suffering from digestive problems because they've been eating in this crazy way that didn't suit their genetics, probably doesn't suit most people's genetics, and they've become deficient. They've believed people who said all supplements are bad. Right? There are some vegans who say all supplements are bad, or you don't clean your teeth. You don't need to clean your teeth when you're eating fruit. It's nuts, absolutely nuts. And it gives veganism as a lifestyle, it gives it a bad name. So I say that if you want to try moving towards a plant-based diet, great, I'll support you. If you want to try to exclude a certain animal product from your diet to see how it goes, great, I'll support you. If that's as far as you want to go, great, I'll support you, because every little helps. Every time somebody reduces the amount of animal products in their diet, that's a win for veganism. But these militant vegans like Freely and Durian Rider, who say you can only do veganism this way, what we're now seeing is the consequences of that. And the consequences of that, sadly, have not been pretty and have made some people like yourself very angry and actually anti-vegan. And I think this anti-vegan movement is at least in part due to what happened in 2016.
You may be right on that.
That's my view.
Wow, what a hypothesis. And I do agree with you. I think that a lot of that rings true for me. And I always say, smart, compassionate people go vegan. That you have to be dumb not to consider veganism and at least research it further. And of course, when you go to research it, then there's all this really nice, high quality scientific studies and things like that. And at first, you don't really have the knowledge and experience to understand where people are getting it wrong because you don't have the experience yet. You haven't dove in and done it yourself. So on the surface level, veganism is like one of the most attractive concepts in the world. You really think you've stumbled across this thing that's going to just solve all the problems. And you'd have to be dumb not to try it out yourself. But where the paths diverge there is you have emotionally, easily brainwashed people that will continue down the path. And unfortunately, and I don't think Mark Tassie's a dumb guy. I think he's actually a pretty intelligent guy. But I think just the habit became the ritual and it became the lifestyle. And, years later down the line, he's still doing this fruitarian thing that is not serving his body. And 95% of the people that are going to look at Mark Tassie are not going to say that the diet is suiting him well. But he can't really see that in himself. And again, he's not even vegan for ethical reasons, but it's just another example of somebody who tries something out based on using their logic and their smarts, and then they don't let the results speak for themselves and then adjust along the way. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, JG Lee, Michelle deserves credit for being fair and honest. He's a fan of mine. He donated. He said that about you. And I agree. I absolutely agree. Michelle, I'm going to almost name you right now the fairest vegan that I've even spoken to. It's like, it's a breath of fresh air.
Thanks. Regarding Mark Tassie, I did watch the live stream that you did with him last night. I didn't watch it all. I came into it partway through. But I'd heard of Mark Tassie, but I've never seen any of his videos. I didn't know he was a fruitarian until I heard him talking last night. So I can't speak for him or about what he's done to his body or the reasons why he's done it to his body. But generally, I think somebody who limits, and it doesn't matter whether it's limiting it to one particular food group or to fruit. I think if they do that, anything like that for an extended period of time, they are going to run into deficiencies. They are. because fruit, although, you know, you have to consume a lot of fruit to even get, you know, an adequate number of calories. And you are going to be missing some B vitamins. You are going to be, you're going to be missing some minerals if you just live on fruit. Because even there's no animal in the world, right, that's genetically close to us that just lives on fruit. We're not fruit. Some people in my comment section have slagged me off for saying this, but we are not frugivores. We are not frugivores. And I'm not just saying that because my particular body doesn't like fruit. I love fruit. I just can't eat it very much, right? But I do think that people who live on fruit for an extended period of time are going to run into problems. And that's why we're seeing the likes of Tim Sheaf.
Mark
right?
says that he doesn't just live on fruit in the chat.
Who doesn't?
But Mark says that he doesn't live on fruit, and he says that you are unaware of the research. Okay.
Okay. Well, I like I said, I don't know what Mark does. I don't know anything about Mark. I'm speaking generally that if somebody decided to live on fruit, just fruit, and even a small, number of different fruits. There's many different fruits, right? You might do better if you base your diet more on the starchy fruits, the higher calorie fruits. I don't know. Okay. That's my opinion. I just can't see that you're going to get adequate nutrition.
What's the deal with Tim Sheaf? Why you're about to go into something with Tim Sheaf? What do you think is the issue with Tim?
Tim Sheaf. Where do we start with Tim Sheaf? Tim Sheaf has been on fruit. What was he on? Juice cleanses, and then he did that silly water fast where he nearly killed himself. And then he wonders why he was completely depleted and clearly deficient in several different foods.
Yeah, but so I want to hang on though. I can provide a lot of context here because when I met Tim, the first time I met Tim in Hawaii, when he lived there for a couple months, was when he very first started his fruit cleanse. Well, he first started raw veganism. He had just started it because he was going through the whole Dr. Morse protocol, and he had just started it when he got there. And that's part of the reason why he came to Hawaii, so that he can kind of like chill out and do all that stuff there and kind of be in peace with it. But in terms of the way he looked then to how he looks right now, right now, 9 out of 10 people are going to look at Tim and say he looks healthier and more complete and more full as a man than he did when I first met him before he started the fruit stuff. So yes, the fruit led him down the line of the water fasting and all this other stuff out of desperation that he had. But he was still not looking that healthy and being that healthy. It's not like he went from fully functional, amazing vegan to then, he just fell off the cliff and because he wanted the next level. Like he was suffering, Yeah,
I mean, when you say he looks better now, I mean, that is subjective. He's done interviews where I think he looks quite bloated in his face.
I think that's just his natural face.
Just subjective. It could be lighting, could be anything.
Right.
Tim won Ninja Warrior as a vegan. Yep. He won it more than once, didn't he? I don't know how many times.
Yeah, but here we go. Here's the thing. Tim was a hold on. Tim is an exceptional athlete. I've seen him do crazy, amazing things with my own 2 eyes. But even as a vegan, I've seen him do this stuff. But the thing is before he was a vegan, he was already a world-class parkour champion, super buff, like so big. The way he looked as a parkour guy, never lifting weights in the gym, eating a regular diet, was better and thicker and more muscular than I could probably ever get going to the gym trying to look that way. So his genetics are... His genetics are just superior in that way. And then, of course, you got this world-class parkour guy, which is basically Ninja Warrior in the... it was designed for Tim Sheaf. And then he goes and he wins Ninja Warrior. But he said the whole time he was doing Ninja Warrior, like, he was getting by on adrenaline and just being there and trying to represent veganism. He had all these other things going on that were pushing him to do that. But he was acquiring injuries all the way. He was not feeling well. He was...
Yeah, he
had fungus in his toes.
This is another reason why some people
hang on. I'm being ridiculed here. Annie, says that I'm looking like I'm starving myself.
Oh.
You are upsetting me, lady. You need to stop. Okay, continue, Michelle. Sorry.
I don't think you could win. It's not just that he competed, won it. And he won it astonishing. Like looking at the footage, it was astonishing. And I can understand that.
Yeah, but that's like taking hang on. That's like taking a professional NFL player, putting him on a vegan diet, and then telling them to go be the captain of the Pop Warner team and then competing against children. Like, they're in a different elite level of athletics and capabilities. It's not even the same thing. So the fact that he was vegan, I mean, imagine now what I say to that is, imagine if he was doing his meat diet, he would have won every damn season. It wouldn't even have been it. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
but it's unfortunate that Tim wrecked his health. He wrecked his health. And I think that the juice cleanses and the fasting, yes, he might have been misguidingly trying to heal himself. So we might say, right, okay, let's look at the chronology and go back. And when did you first start getting ill? And at that point, when you first started to get ill, can we then attribute that just to veganism? Or could we perhaps attribute it to the fact that he was drinking other people's pee, and that might have introduced, because he was drinking not just his own, he was drinking other people's pee, that has introduced some kind of bacteria into his digestive system, which has kicked off then whatever has ultimately made him want to do the juice fasting and the water fasting and so on.
No, because I had the same experience in myself. 2 years into veganism, I was having such horrible digestion and getting this little fat lump belly that I didn't feel like I earned, that I was seeking a juice fast. I was like, okay, what's the next level? Like, what can help me out here? And there's something wrong with my body. I can't digest this vegan food correctly. That's how I felt. And then I sought out guys like John Rose, who then had the whole juice fasting protocol and all this crap. And then I did that, and it didn't help, obviously. But what my point is that I got to a point of deterioration that I wasn't happy with. Then I went for the extreme juice fast. It wasn't like, oh my God, I'm feeling amazing. Like right now, I feel damn good. I'm not looking for additional levels of health anymore. I'm just living my life. It's almost like I'm just like, I do this YouTube thing as just a service, basically, to share my experience. And sometimes I don't want to continue on doing it, but then I get people messaging me in DMs, and it's like, man, it keeps me on track, because I have people that are well-known, people that are not well-known messaging me saying that your videos have helped me regain this and this part of my health, leaving veganism. So that's what I'm saying, is like, people get desperate and then they do these things like the pee. The pee didn't come first. He wasn't feeling amazing and then drank pee. Nobody does that. This is not how it works.
I don't know. There are.
Come on, you're a psychologist. You know that's not how it works.
That, honestly. Yeah, I mean, you might be a completely different case to Tim, right? Tim might be the exception, because he is an exception. In your case, if you were suffering from digestive issues on a plant-based diet, then it could be any number of things that you're reacting to. Like before, you mentioned fiber. It might not be that people react to the fiber, although people can react to fiber, because you need a certain type of gut microbiome to be able to handle the fiber. So people who have never eaten fiber in any quantity before and then start to chug 50 grams of fiber in a day, they are going to get ill. They are going to feel rough, right? My body handles fiber really well. If I have 50 grams of fiber in a day, that's low fiber for me. I need high fiber, and we're getting a bit TMI now, but I need high fiber to be able to go to the toilet. Right. Otherwise, I get constipated. And that's how I've always been. Right. I thought constipation was normal. I thought that's just the way my body was. And a doctor, when I was a kid, a doctor told my mum, Michelle is always going to be constipated because that's just the way her body is. And then I discovered that eating a huge amount of fiber in a day actually makes me feel better and gives me normal bowel movements. So we are all different. right? So I'm not going to go to someone and say, your digestive problems will be cured, right? Your constipation will be cured and you'll feel amazing digestively by eating 80 grams of fiber, because that's what I do. Because for the average person, 80 grams of fiber is going to put them on the toilet for 24 hours non-stop.
Yeah.
We're all different, right?
We all have different systems. Like Bobby said, he had to poop like 12 times a day. It was like diarrhea. I mean, I never got diarrhea as a vegan. I never got stomach aches as a vegan, but I did have like loose stools. It wasn't clean. I was going 2-3 times a day. Sometimes I didn't feel like it all came out of me. Things like that. Like it was other issues, and eliminating the fiber honestly helped me out a lot. Okay. So it's the opposite.
Yeah, we're all different. But for some people, it might not be the fiber that they're reacting to. It might be gluten. It might be a certain type of protein. That oats, for example. I'm fine with wheat. Gluten, I'm fine. Give me oats too many times in a week, and I'm going to feel like bloated, like not diarrhea or anything like that. Just like that. Not digesting properly and a bit achy.
Okay.
A bit horrible. And I get a bloated face as well. So if I eat too much fruit or too much oats, I get a bloated face for like 24 hours. It's weird. I don't know why. It just happens. We're all different. So I don't follow, if somebody comes along and says, oh, my vegan protocol is going to cure everybody's ailments, I don't believe any of it. I don't believe anybody, whether they're carnivore or anything in between. I don't believe anybody. I just listen to my body. I read some science and think, right, okay, how might this work? Right. So I'm feeling rough on fruit. I'm feeling rough on these certain foods. What might be going on? And I read a bit, and I just use a bit of common sense, and that's it. And I think everybody would benefit from using some common sense rather than listening to other people. Like Vegetable Please seems to just listen to everybody and take in everybody's opinions, and then does something really wacky and changes his mind every 2 minutes. Right. And look at the state he's in now, because he's wrecked his health. Not that he was healthy in the first place, because he needs a hernia mesh operation. That's the ultimate thing. I think that's where his ulcerative colitis is ultimately coming from, and the inflammation is coming from the fact that he needs a hernia mesh operation. He said that himself in videos. He said that himself. He knows that. But what would happen if he had a hernia mesh operation and his digestion was then normal? He wouldn't have a YouTube channel, because he's built an entire channel on being this a little bit dopey, unhealthy guy who's trying to heal. That's how he built his name.
That's quite evil, Michelle Lowe. Michelle Lowe blow, I've heard. Okay, so I have no other specific topics to bring up with you. I don't know if you had anything else that you wanted to bring to the table.
No, I just came for a chat. I wanted to chat to the vegan assassin himself. I enjoyed the chat.
You have to be careful when you speak to me, because I impart these notions to people, these little seeds that get planted in there through my manipulation, and and then they start questioning themselves. That's what happens. No,
I enjoyed your live stream with Timmy, the vegan. What's his name? Mississippi vegan. And I thought, Drew came up. You came. You agreed with a lot of what he said, and it was a really nice discussion. And I thought, you know what? I'd like to go on and chat to the vegan assassin himself. And we can just chew the cud, have a little bit of a banter. And yeah, it's been really fun. Really enjoyed it. So I don't have any specific questions. I just came on for a banter. Bit of a laugh.
It's great. Thank you for coming on. And we're not done with you yet. We will turn it to the chat. We'll see if anybody comes up with any, reasonably valuable questions. The chat is always a toss up. We have a lot of your people in here. We have actually significantly more trolls than normal today.
Oh, yeah. It's trolls. Trolls follow me around. They love me. They love me, really.
They do. That's a psychological thing. If somebody's what do they say? Hate is close to love, something like that.
Yeah, they do.
It's a
They
shade
love
of
me,
love.
really. I mean,
Confused love.
I think, right, going back to your very first question, I think that might be why I've got a little bit well known on YouTube. It's because of the trolls. It's because I banter with the trolls. And then they go away and they banter with their friends under the troll bridge. And, you know, they come back for more. It's good. It's good.
Someone said something about fiber, and I'm trying to find it. There's quite a bit of... Wow, there's a lot of chat today. We got a lot of people in here today, and we had Primal Edge. We have Carnival still checking in right now. We got a lot of people.
Yeah, I enjoyed my chat. I went on Primal Edge Health a few weeks ago, and that was fun. We talked about conspiracy theories and the vegan agenda. It was really good. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I said, Drew, can you ask Michelle what is her age and weight?
Age and weight. I'm 913, and I have no idea how much I weigh because the scale that I've got needs a new battery. But I would imagine I'm probably about between 155 and 160 at a guess, at an absolute guess. I might be completely wrong.
That's pounds, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll have to infer the age, guys. Those are witch years, so we have no idea what. She's got the ruby necklace, Game of Thrones style. The red woman. I think Vegetable Please has some ex-vegan grays coming in. Uh-oh. Let's see. Someone said, have you tried a zero fiber diet?
Me?
Obviously not, because you've been vegetarian since 11, so... Do you ever worry that, honestly, this is a real question, do you ever worry that there is some developmental issue potential with people going vegan too young?
No. You mean vegan or vegetarian?
I would say vegan. I'd be more concerned with vegans, but vegetarians, they're still getting their milk and their eggs. I think that you can make it happen on a vegetarian diet.
I think if you're bringing a baby up completely 100% plant-based, you've got to acknowledge that they will need some supplements and they will need to consume more high-calorie foods. So for people who bring up babies fruitarian, I worry about that. I think you need to give a child under the age of 5 higher fat because they can't take in the high amount of, the bulk in fruit. They can't take in enough calories. So that, there's, I think they have to be more mindful than they might be for their own diet.
Okay.
They have to respect that a child has got a very small digestive system and will need higher calorie foods.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Frankie's Fairy Boy Twink Club says, Drew, is her son vegan? I would say no. He's came in with a plate of chicken last time, right? So definitely not vegan.
Son?
Yeah.
No, he's not vegan. I did ask him one time if he wanted to try Sean Baker's diet for a while. And he said, why? Who's this Sean Baker? And I said, he lives on ribeye. Right, he eats little else. And he went, that guy's retarded then. Because he likes his meat. Oh, he's here. He likes his meat, but he also likes his sweets and he likes his toast. And, he likes his carbs. But I can't get him to. I've got him to give up milk, and he doesn't eat eggs hardly ever, but he won't give up meat. He goes to the takeout and he gets Domino's pizzas with meat on, and he gets delivered. When I'm doing live streams, when I was with Tristan the other week, he actually ordered fried chicken to be delivered to the door on purpose, and then brought it in.
I love him. I like your son. You must have been a good mom. I think you would be a good mom. Real relaxed. Your kids are going to get away with smoking weed. It's all good. Let's be real here, guys. So Tofu Tommy says, nice, respectful chat, guys. Thank you for the donation, Tofu. And, woo!
Get lost.
Okay, Really Organic brings up a serious question. She says, did you talk about how she said you were controlling Elise in your relationship? that was pretty serious what she was saying. So I didn't watch that full video, so maybe, we can touch on that real quick. You said I was controlling her, perhaps.
No, I was speculating. Because you come across, and this might be just your persona, you come across as quite dominant in some of the things you say, and Elise comes across as being quite, I don't know, easily led. Maybe I might be completely wrong. So put the two together, and I thought maybe Drew's controlling her a little bit, and just a few signs. But as I said, it might be your internet persona. It might be her internet persona, because her viewers, I think, are young girls, aren't they? So she's got a persona that's more, more akin to that. I don't know. And it made an interesting video. And I like to make videos that create banter. And sometimes I can be on the edge, on the edge, and I might offend people. But it's all good fun, People are welcome to make videos that offend me. It's fine. If you're offended, then you've got a right to be offended.
That's kind of the approach that I take. But to respond to that in a little bit is to say, well, I feel like I don't really have an internet persona. I think that this is pretty much me. I am known throughout everybody to speak confidently on all matters, whether I'm right or wrong. So that's just one of those things. And then as far as Elise goes, I think that she has a bit of an internet persona. I think that she comes across as that way online. But what people really need to know is that, man, I'm just somebody who comes up with ideas all the time. I throw out ideas. I'm confident about the ideas. I want to make certain things work, and then I can move on very easily. If somebody denies my idea, no sweat off my back. Don't take that type of stuff personally. Now, with her, people could say I'm controlling her or leading her or whatever, but man, I throw out so many ideas to her, and she will very easily shut them down or be like, I don't want to do that. Or, I mean, the amount of time she says no to things is like across the, just constant. So, there's no like controlling leading thing, but I'm sure a controlling leading person would make that excuse too. So
that was it. You came across, you're ultra confident, and that's good. And as and it's great that Elise says no, and she puts her foot down. That's good. Good to know.
You can't convince her. Sometimes she does wild, wacky things. Trust me, she convinces herself of things all the time, but she won't take other people's advice if she doesn't want to do it. That's the thing. So, Mr. Archon says Michelle has developed chronic fatigue syndrome. Does she believe diet has played a role in this? Is that true?
No.
Do you have chronic fatigue?
No. I got ill at the end of 2006. I've told this story so many times. I got ill at the end of 2006 with a really bad virus. And although I recovered from the virus, I've never quite been quite the same since. And occasionally I have a relapse and I become very, very fatigued and ill. And it's the virus re-establishing itself. And it's an immune system glitch that the doctors don't understand. But all they can say is it's chronic fatigue syndrome, but it's nothing to do with diet.
Do you drink caffeine?
Nothing to do with diet.
You on the caffeine?
I drink a few cans of that a day.
Oh, I've been recently a Coke fanatic, but it's really done damage to my teeth very quickly. It can do. I gotta say, don't do it, people.
But caffeine, no. Apart from that, I don't drink coffee. I have green tea occasionally. I had a green tea this morning at work. I don't know whether that's got caffeine in it, but I don't drink coffee. I don't like it. So no, really? Caffeine, low caffeine.
Well, if you got soda, that's got caffeine in it.
It has got caffeine in it, but I drink a few cans of that a day. I don't know how much caffeine it's got in it. But it's not the same as coffee, is it? It's
significant.
All right.
It's significant. I'm sure somebody can post those numbers. Really organic. I'm not going to watch the video on the live stream. I hope that satisfies you about what she said and then my response to it about the controlling thing. Trust me, that's probably its own episode. Raven Veganisa, the best stream so far was with Mississippi Vegan. He put Drew in his place and called him out and his clan for their fuckery. Michelle's playing middle of the road. Michelle's son.
Michelle's son is in the chat saying she eats meat off camera. He's a lying little shit. I do not, and I never have.
And she never has.
He's laughing in the background. He's laughing in the background. That is funny.
Caffeine, I do think that you're drinking more caffeine. Honestly, okay, from a caffeine addict to another. I recently quit 5 days ago, and I feel way better. My sustained energy is way higher, and I couldn't imagine enjoying my day without the caffeine because it's like my little treat. I get to wake up, drink the coffee, eat lunch, drink the soda, drink the energy drink, soda. I can't even compare the amount of energy I feel now.
I get that caffeine gives you highs and lows and things, but that's not the cause of chronic fatigue syndrome. Because I've drunk this stuff since I was a teenager, since I was allowed to drink it. I've drunk this stuff, and I was as fit as a flea. I mean, completely, absolutely, really at the top of my game until I got ill at the end of 2006, and that has kept me down. And I have relapses, and then I'm fine for ages, and then I have another relapse. And
remember how we talked about developing. Remember how we talked about developing the allergies or developing the symptoms later on for unknown reasons? I mean, that could be something. I mean, 2006, that's a significant amount of time. It's like caffeine seems to have this thing with people where they hit a certain point and then it just like, it screws their body up. I mean, it's possible. Consider, Michelle, that's just a friend. Maybe go off caffeine for like 5 days, but Chris Kruger says...
I have gone off caffeine because you can get the caffeine-free stuff. I've tried the caffeine-free stuff, and it's all right, but you can't get it in as many places. So I just get that, and it's on offer at the minute. So.
Chris Kruger says, "How is she going to deny that her diet isn't destroying her health and giving her chronic fatigue?" Well, she's not concerned with it, guys. I mean, please offer this poor woman a steak and a hug. We can give her. She'll accept the hug, Chris. You know that she loves it. You saw the interview with Chris Kruger as well, right?
I think so. Yeah, I did.
That was when Mike the Vegan popped in.
Yeah, feasting, feasting, and fasting. Yeah,
beasting, feasting, and fasting. My dad's all into the beasting, feasting, fasting now. He texted me. He's like, "I beasted today." He saw Chris. He took one look at Chris. He's like, "I want to look like that guy."
No, it's good. I mean, I intermittent fast. Yeah. I like intermittent fasting. So, do I beast, feast, and fast? It depends what you mean by beast. I'm not going to go and work out in the gym, but I walk everywhere. Like somebody in the chat last night, or whenever it was, said, "Oh, she walks everywhere." Well, I do walk everywhere because I like walking. So I get lots of exercise.
So Raven Veganista, you're a beast. Raven Veganista says, "No hate here, just stating facts and calling out fuckery." So this is she's also a white hater, by the way, just so everybody knows. But Raven Veganista, she says that Tim put me in my place. What do you think about that? I don't feel like Tim I don't feel like we put each other in any place. I feel like he said that most vegans who are not ex-vegans came at it from a perspective of health, not from ethics. And I think that is an irrelevant statement. It doesn't matter. I think that you can get into veganism for health or ethics, and I believe that you can leave veganism for health or ethics. I mean, the ethical point has been somewhat debunked. Whether you agree with it or not is up to you. And I feel like the health argument has also been debunked, and I feel like you can agree with that or not agree with it. Now, Tim is admittedly overweight, drinks a bottle of wine a day. I love Tim, and I am all for him drinking and doing whatever the hell he wants to do for his own enjoyment of life. Great. I support it. I would drink a bottle with him if we were hanging out. But the point is that he can't tell me how I felt, and neither can you. And it's not putting anybody in their place to say that, "Oh, you left for health, you weren't a real vegan," or whatever the case is, because I feel like even the most ethical vegan, when they reach a point of serious health, inclement health, they can leave the diet as well. Even if they're so ethically minded, they may still leave the diet for health reasons. And are you going to say that person isn't an ethical vegan, was never an ethical vegan, they were never vegan in the first place? I think that's bullshit. And I think that you can only make that statement since you are still vegan, even though there is a very high percentage chance that you will not live out the rest of your life as a vegan. That's just the way it is.
I think that there's truth in that, and the reason why I think there's truth in it, and I wouldn't say there's truth in it for every single person in that situation, but for me, the first time when I was vegan for 4.5 years, the first time, and then I left it because I wanted to drink milk, I still had the ethics. I still understood the fact that cows were suffering because I was drinking milk, but yet I did it anyway because I went into a long period of denial. And that's why I said earlier that I do have sympathy with ex-vegans who I would like to carry on a dialogue with them rather than just isolating them and alienating them. I'd rather keep the dialogue open because, if they're at least cutting down on animal products from an ethical point of view, that's good enough for me. So yeah, some people some people leave veganism not for health reasons. I was fit and healthy as a vegan. I was healthier than I am now because I was younger and I was exercising a lot. But I didn't leave it for health reasons. I left it for selfish reasons because I wanted to drink milk. It was too much of a temptation. Would I do it now? No, because I'm older, I'm wiser, and I've come into veganism this time with a mature outlook on life. So I wouldn't do it now, even though my son says that I eat meat off camera.
He also says that you're a terrible driver. And
I am a terrible driver.
Okay, so
I am a terrible driver.
She is. Can you verify that you reversed into your own house?
He's a little shit. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But there was mitigating circumstances.
Is it true that you had to stop driving because you were a danger to your own life as well? Lots of love from Kyle. See, this is what happens when you don't spank your kids, Michelle. They turn into these little bastards. You read the parenting book about, gentle love and all this, and now you got this.
I do think that if I'd carried on driving, there was two things could have happened. I got more mature and became a better driver, or I created complete carnage and ended up in prison. So I decided to take I didn't really like driving anyway. It's like when I'm walking, I like it. I can look at the scenery. When you're in a car, you're just stuck there in a traffic jam. I hated it. I hated to find places to park. Like I could just go on the train to work and get there quicker. I hated everything about driving. It was expensive. So the fact that I potentially could kill people as well, all things considered, I just would rather not drive.
Yeah, that's a good move. Raven says, Drew, I thought you were Cuban. Yes, I am Cuban, but I can still call people out for being white haters. So man, there's so many comments. Holy crap, you're just lighting up the chat. Pimbrich says, do I see keto eyes at Drew Morgan? Here, you can check them out. Keto eyes.
Keto eyes. Oh my god.
I got these lines. I've always had these lines right here. And I don't know. They've been there forever.
You're not keto though, are you? Because you eat carbs.
Yeah,
so
I eat some. I'm not even keto. I ate 8 oatmeal cookies yesterday. All right. What? I can eat whatever I want.
You can. It's good.
So somebody said, Drew, I don't get how you can say that vegans aren't going to live out their life as vegans. Generalization much. I mean, it's just a fact. 84%. You can go research the Human Research Council. Most people are not going to finish their life as vegans. Just the way it is. It's not really debatable. Let's see. We have. Did they take away Michelle's license? I think she just explained that.
Oh, no, I've still got a license.
Oh, yeah. It's the UK, guys. They get away with all kinds of stuff. The police don't even carry guns there. All right. Vegan Brain says, Drew, what about people who are born vegan and are still vegan athletes? Can you name one? Let's hear about it. I've never heard of one in my life. Nima Delgado doesn't count. He wasn't even vegan since birth, so let's see.
There are very few people who have been vegan since birth. So again, like trying to understand the long-term effects of a carnivore diet, we don't have the evidence. And we have very few people who've been vegan since birth who are now adults. So we just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, that there are some YouTube families whose kids have been vegan since birth. So,
Yep.
you know, let's follow them up in 20 years and see how they're getting on. You know,
Elizabeth,
some of those kids, when they grow up, they might choose not to be vegan. We just don't know, do we? So
true. Yeah. And Elizabeth says, does Michelle think, oh, by the way, I never called you crazy vegan lady.
Did you not?
I did. It was in the chat. Somebody was in the chat and they said that crazy vegan lady made a video about you, and I was reading their comment, and that's how things get. And I even said that in your thing, but you still thought I said. Anyways,
okay,
whatever.
Well, I am a bit crazy.
She
crazy.
is. She owns it.
I don't mind people saying that. It's fine.
You own it well. I think it's good. Elizabeth does say, does Michelle think the raw milk she was getting from a farm is unethical? She already covered this. You felt like it was still unethical, even the nice local raw milk you were getting, right?
Yeah. I still think it's unethical, yeah.
All right. So I think we are going to end here. This was a great time. And thank you for coming, Michelle. And
thank you for having me. It's been fantastic. Yeah, been really good.
Absolutely.
To talk to the vegan assassin. Yeah.
You made it for now. It's a seed. The seed is planted in your vegan mind. Trust me. All right. Well, thank you again, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. See you later, Drew. See you, everyone. Bye.
Okay. Michelle Lowe, everybody. The chat was just going too nuts. I feel like we could have had Michelle on. Drew was never a real carnivore. Check the title of this video. Yeah, I put it in the title. Come on, how to put it in the title, baby. Come on. Let's disregard the Maasai. Somebody told me that you can't sustain high levels of muscle mass in nature eating a traditional diet. And all I did was go to Google and type in native tribal hunters. And you can see dudes from Africa that are like more jacked than guys that work out at my gym down the street that are sucking down protein powder. Definitely more muscular looking than most vegans. I'll tell you that much. Starch doesn't spike insulin. Michelle said that? She didn't say that in this live stream, did she? Vegan eyes are real, bloodshot, but also grayish and look as though they've been crying. Yeah, I don't. What'd you guys think about my keto eyes? See, if it hits the light correctly, I've got these little black lines here, and I've always had them. I think they're more due to allergies than diet, to be fair. And by the way, hey, thanks, Jonathan. I've been getting all kinds of shit for this hair. But let's talk about the energy, by the way, because remember, I was under fire from Vegetable Police, and he is saying that he doesn't know of any carnivore type people that are not using caffeine to live their lifestyle. And I feel so good off the caffeine. So good. I'm not saying I'll never drink coffee again in my life, but damn, I am feeling sharp and energized. I was never a true narcissist. Damn it. Yo, this was a really fun live stream. I was genuinely laughing. That was really funny. Carnivore bug eyes. Let's drink this cold tea. Arteries don't clog. They become inflamed and calcify. Thank you, Chris Kruger, expert and sex therapist. Chris, I thought you were doing your premiere right now. It's at 12. What are you doing here? I'm gonna divert everybody over there in a second. Once we finish up here. Just taking the last bit of chat. We usually like to push around 3 hours. Drew Morgan going strong. Yeah, this is a Yeti mug. It looks cool. It's my mom's. I took it. Damn, I'm feeling skinny, guys. Look at this. I haven't worked out in 2 weeks. I've lost like 2 pounds. So people were making fun of my shoulders today. I would like to say some words to you, but I can't because YouTube censors me. Thank you, Primal Edge Health. I hear you having somebody on today that was quite big. I forgot. Kian Gamer. I will not do that for you, sir. I just like audio quality. Is that too much to ask? We had a significant amount of trolls today, but we also had a huge boost in numbers. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel. By the way, just so everybody knows, we have the carnivore keto carnivore keto experiment, carnivore vegan experiment guys doing blood tests today. And we're going to go live with them again next week with Dave Feldman. Oh, you got Jacko Wacko. That's right. Everybody, make sure to check out Primal Edge's stream later on today with Jacko Wacko Vegano. And we also have Chris Kruger doing a premiere at noon. I think it's already over. He did a video responding to Mike the Vegan's blood tests. It's going to be interesting as well. Everybody, make sure to check out those peeps. Why am I losing weight? I'm losing weight because I haven't worked out in 2 weeks. My appetite's gone down a little bit. But because I've quit caffeine, it's kind of evened out a little bit as well. I'm still doing walking every day, so maybe I'm going to cut down on the walking a little bit. I don't need to walk if I'm eating less food, especially. So I'm kind of playing with the weight a little bit. But I'm back on the milk. I'm off the caffeine, so it's a little transition phase here. I'm not trying to lose more weight though. I'm really not. I want to actually just start gaining weight. Call it a day. Start getting thick. You'll see. You'll see. Ooh, perfect timing, Primal Edge. Nice. Nice timing. Streams are getting better and better. Thank you. Annie, don't cut on walking. You vegan wackies. Let me tell you. You guys are out of your mind. You got to understand calorie balance, Annie. When is the Vegetable Police stream? Guys, I'm going to beg him to come on tomorrow. Elise Parker, welcome to the chat. I'm going to see if I can get Vegetable Police tomorrow morning. Same time as usual. Yeah. I'm at 141 right now in the morning. Not proud. I want to get that up, man. I want to get back up to like 160. I want to be ultimately like 170. Got some great content coming from the community right now. Yeah. You don't understand calorie balance, Annie? I know you don't. I probably am more active than you. Anyway, you know what? I'm ignoring you. You're done. You're done. No more attention for you. CMC. I had CMC on recently. I would try and get Cole Robinson. Yeah. Who do you guys want to see? I'm 5'10", Craggle. Who do you guys want to see on the channel? This was dedicated to Vegan Week. I wanted to get more vegans this week. I would have streamed every day. To be honest. Earthling Ed. Okay. Earthling Ed is... Guys, I want to do a whole video on vegan... I'm playing chess with the vegans. I'm playing chess. Vegans are playing checkers. And basically, you've got the what do you call them? The pieces of the chess game. And the way I see it is Earthling Ed is the king. He's the king that needs to be defeated. Vegan Jesus, Earthling Ed, needs to be defeated. He's the king. Right next to him, you got the Queen Freely, obviously. And then you've got the horses right next to them. Or is it the bishops? I believe it's the bishops right next to them. You've got the big boys, the muscle. You've got hench herbivore, and you've got vegan gains. All right, and you got a whole bunch of pawns, right, guys? Name them up. Bunch of pawns in the vegan game. Freely's the queen, absolutely. And then vegan Jesus, Earthling Ed. And I guess hench herbivore would be lower on the chain. I'd say Joey Carbstrong and vegan gains are the muscle. Absolutely, they're the bishops. Foot soldier's a pawn. He's welcome to come on the channel, though. You got the bishops, Joey Carbstrong, vegan gains. And next to them, you got the knights. I'd say that's like, they're the shifty kind. They got the wacky moves. You've got like Durian Rider. You got, who else? Man, I feel crispy, guys. I'm not even saying this to brag, but I feel mentally sharp AF. The caffeine is trash. Why did I ever do that to myself? I'm fasted. My brain is focused. Remember, mind, eyes, mouth. All these three need to be connected. It's a feeling. It's a feeling. It's indescribable. When your eyes and your mouth and your brain are connected, it's a feeling. The Fantastic Four, you're correct. The Fantastic Four, they're they're definitely going to occupy the rook positions. Yeah. Maybe even they might even be the knights and the rooks. All four of those guys right there. Yeah, we've built the board, and then the pawns, man. So many pawns. Nah, Gary Carbo. Somebody said get Gary Carburetor. No. No more of these type. For now. Debate Freely. I will not be able to ever destroy Freely's bubble. Her bubble is like she's living in NORAD underground bunker, dude. Yeah, Gary. I worry about that guy. A natural vegan. I would like to have her on as a guest. I want Vegetable Police next. That slippery son of a gun. And hopefully we can get Unnatural Vegan as another big name vegan guest as well. But what kind of things do you want me to see that talk? What kind of things do you want me to talk to them about? I just want to make sure that we're not being redundant and covering the same stuff. You know what I mean? No more of these dickheads. I read that in an Australian accent for some reason. These dickheads. Later, Craggle. Thanks for showing up, buddy. All right. Would I have Star Brady on? Didn't realize she was vegan and vegetarian from birth. Wow, I didn't know that either. We're in contact actually. I'll talk to her. See what's up. Megan McDonald, is that my Meg? Megan Elizabeth? I'd like to see you talk to an Unnatural Vegan about antidepressants, okay? Ask yourself about ethics. Ask yourself about ethics, Drew. You are an unethical person. Animals' health comes before your health. Oh, okay. Good to see you, Meg. Chickens are the same as humans. You got it. Absolutely. Do not eat the food that humans evolved to eat. And remember when I was bringing up that whole gaslighting thing with vegans, they talk about how, they target the foundation to your beliefs. So they say that the food that humans have been eating for millions of years, meat, is all of a sudden unethical. And you're like, whoa, that's the foundation to your beliefs. Vegans are the biggest gaslighters ever. They're trying to take the heat off of them. Deflect. Megan McDonald, chicken is carnivore salad. Woo. Jeez. You were never vegan, Megan, for real. Jeez Louise. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you all for coming. It's Friday, which means an early start to the weekend. Hopefully we get Vegetable Police tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like this video. We got the carnivore vegan experiment next week with Dave Feldman, probably Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Chris Kruger and by the way, Durian Ryder hit me up in the DMs. He says he wants to debate Chris Kruger live on my channel. So I may be doing some moderator type roles in some debates moving forward. So boom, we're moving forward with the format. We're progressing this whole thing. And again, thank you all for coming, and we're going to close it out now. Peace, guys.
bitch.